welcome to the Maricopa County Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. It is March 5th, 2026 at 9:30 in the morning. We'll begin a roll call.
Commissioner Dan Zeisen. Commissioner Finter.
Here.
Vice Chair Hernandez.
Here.
Commissioner Lawrence.
Here.
Commissioner Layton. Commissioner Lindblom. Chair Milhaven. Commissioner Rockwallick.
Here.
Commissioner Toma. Commissioner Whitney.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum. Thank you. This meeting has been noticed in accordance with Open Meeting Law ARS 38431. Agendas are available within 24 hours of each meeting in the Maricopa County Planning and Development Office and are also available on the Planning and Development website 1 week prior to hearing at www.maricopa.gov/planning. Staff reports prepared for each agenda item shall become a part of the permanent record for each case. With respect to hearing process, cases will be considered in the order they appear on the agenda unless otherwise agreed to by the Commission. For each case, the applicant will be given a set amount of time to present. Anyone wishing to speak in a particular case shall fill out a speaker's card for in-person attendance or raise your hand in the GoToWebinar. The amount of time allowed for speaking shall be at the discretion of the Commission Chair. Staff will provide the chairman with the names of persons who have registered and noted a desire to comment and those registered participants who have raised their hand. The chairman will call on each named participant one at a time. Chairman will conduct the hybrid in-person and virtual public meeting according to the bylaws and according to the rules established by the chairman regarding public comment. Votes will be done by roll call only. The chairman will verbally identify the specific members responsible for all motions and seconds. Thank you. So, first order of business, we have minutes from January 22nd, 2026 and February 5th, 2026. Any comments from commissioners? Hearing none, the minutes are accepted. Continuance agenda, we have one item.
Madam Chair, members of the commissioners, SU 250032, known as Herman's Tank Sales in District 3, for the record, is a special use permit for septic and water tank sales in Rural 43 on a 2.5-acre site at the east of the northeast corner of 17th Avenue and Yearling in the North Phoenix area. There is both support and opposition for this case. The applicant has requested an indefinite continuance, therefore no action is necessary by the board today. There will be a new public notice before this is rescheduled for commission hearing.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, there are 3 items on consent today. SU 250033, known as 201 South Crimson Park Models in District 2. It's a modification of conditions to a special use permit for an RV park in the R18 zoning district. This is specifically to allow park models that were previously prohibited by condition of the special use permit, but are permitted by ordinance. It's a 2.5-acre site north of the northeast corner of Crisman and Broadway in the East Mesa area. There's no known opposition. The recommendation in paragraph 21 is for approval, subject to conditions A through I. Second item is Z250024, known as Hedgick South in District 5. This is an amendment to the Industrial 2 IUPD zoning for 690 acres south of Lower Buckeye and Harquahala Valley. There's no known opposition. The recommendation in paragraph 14 is for approval, subject to conditions A through I. And then finally, Z250030, known as Clean Harbors Industrial in District 5, is an Industrial 3 IUPD rezoning of 10.4 acres north of the northwest corner of 75th Avenue and Lincoln Street in Tolleson. There's no known opposition. Recommendation in paragraph 20 is for approval, subject to conditions A through H. Happy to try and answer any questions you may have on the consent agenda.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments about items on the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Chair Milhaven, this is Vice Chair Hernandez. I recommend approval of the consent agenda as presented by staff.
Second.
Okay, motion to recommend approval by Vice Chair Hernandez and seconded by Commissioner Rockwallick.
Commissioner Finter.
Yes.
Vice Chair Hernandez.
Yes.
Commissioner Lawrence.
Yes.
Chair Milhaven.
Yes.
Commissioner Rockwallick.
Yes.
Commissioner Whitney?
Yes.
Chair, we have a motion recommending approval of the consent agenda by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you. Moving on to regular agenda, we have case SU 250041, event space at Gamble Field.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. SU 250041 is a request for a special use permit for an outdoor event venue known as the Event Space at Gamble Field on approximately 8 acres of a 19-acre site in the Rural 43 zoning district at approximately 331st Avenue and Lower Buckeye in the Tonopah area. The application proposes events for up to 400 people for up to 60 days a year, but the application has also indicated that most events will be under 150 people, with occasional ticketed events reaching max capacity. The application proposes 160 parking spaces to accommodate guests. The application does not propose any permanent infrastructure improvements, including water or sanitary connections. As of printing of the handout memo, staff received 366 letters of support for the proposed facility. Staff has only received 1 letter in opposition for the proposal. A neighbor to the north who only requested additional screening. Ultimately, as stated in the staff report, staff does not object to the proposed use of an event venue on the property. Staff's recommendation of denial in the staff report is based on a review of the infrastructure improvements proposed with the site development. Staff has provided additional conditions of approval for consideration that would address issues with the infrastructure and intensity of the use should the applicant be amenable to reduced scope. With that, I would be happy to take any questions you may have.
Thank you. Commissioners have any questions? In that case, we'll hear from the applicant. Thank you. I understand you have quite a few slides. How much time would you like?
Good morning. I'm very nervous.
That's okay. We don't bite.
Promise?
Promise.
Okay. However much time the commission feels is necessary, I do think that we can go through it pretty quickly. Like the last segment of slides are only if you need a better perspective of the field, and there's like 30 of those, so we probably won't actually use those unless you need better perspective.
Is 10 minutes enough time?
I think so.
Okay.
If I could save a little bit for rebuttal at the end, if they're
Absolutely. Absolutely. We'll bring you back again.
Okay, I'm
Thank
very
you.
nervous. Okay, for the record, Jane Pfeiffer, I am the applicant on this proposal. And so if we can go to the next slide, please. So this is what sunrise looks like at my property. This is not a computer generated or AI generated. This is my 5 minutes of perfect every single morning. Next slide, please. It's called Gamble Field because we have an inordinate amount of Gamble quail that naturally occur on the property. And it also, the Gamble quail happened to be the owner, Mark Graham's favorite bird. And so the field is named Gamble Field. Next slide, please. More Gambles. They're everywhere. Next slide. So on the east side of our property is a large chunk of state trust land. And there are a couple of local farmers who use the state trust land for grazing of their sheep. Next slide. So how it all started, we were approached by a neighbor and friend who wanted to know if we could do a birthday party with a small concert. And that's sort of how this all took off. So we did a very small birthday party. Next slide, please. And then we dreamed big and we did a big concert and it was wonderful. And we found out that go ahead to the next slide. We found out that the location where we're at was not conducive to getting the kinds of crowds that we would need to continue this type of activity. Next slide. But it sure was fun. Next slide. We also have done community activities such as Easter egg hunts for the kids in the neighborhood. Next slide, please. And then we sort of transitioned into dog events. And so we have Halloween parades where dogs are in costumes. Next slide. And again, the next several slides are people with their dogs on the field. There you go. One more. So this is a pretty typical setup of a 2-ring dog show. As you can see, there's still loads of open space. Generally, they do finish before dark. Next slide. So again, more dog shows, dogs walking in circles to see which dog looks like the best dog. Next slide, please. And then there are some that do have activities such as agility and that sort of thing. Next slide. And so you've got some of the different agility and obstacles. Next slide, please. This is about as large as our crowds get. Next slide. And we do also use it on occasion for family picnics or as a backdrop for quinceañera photos and things like that. Next slide. We do have overwhelming support for this project. The amount of support it makes me cry because it is so humbling. Next slide. And again, my beautiful day. Okay, and now we move into the heart and the meat of the stuff. What we're proposing is to preserve the natural beauty and the natural occurring phenomenons on the field and to not try to turn it into a city amenity. The great thing about our property is the rural nature of it. It is the openness of it. It is the security of the fencing that we already have that gives the dogs and the people the ability to run, to play, to do things, and to know that they are still safe and secure on the property. We intend to work with the environmental conditions, not against. We are located in a floodplain. There's a floodway as well. We have an extremely high water table out there, and the soil composition is weird to say the least. Next slide, please. Oh, and ideally, in a big dream world, we would like to be able to do this for 30 years or until we die. We're not spring chickens, but we are willing to do less time than that, of course. So this is the Tonopah Arlington area plan, and you can see that the area does have a lot of different uses. Next slide. So this is zooming in on us, and you can see we are the star over in the lower right-hand corner. We are listed as rural 43. Next slide. And there's not a huge amount near us. And so we've asked to be able to use the property for large assembly of people as well as recreational outdoor open air space. Next slide, please. So that's an oversight of the property zoomed in. You've got Lower Buckeye Road that comes across and then 331st Avenue on the east side of the property. Our neighbors are not super close, but they're not super far away either. Next slide. So that shows the distance to all of the various neighbors, and we are at least 800 feet. I believe it's actually more than that. I'm on the wrong page of my proposal. So there is ample, like we're not crowding the neighbors. The neighbors are not really going to be able to hear us. The closest neighbor's home is 899 feet away. So next slide, please. So the pink area represents all of the empty land surrounding us, with the blue areas being larger lots that do have homes on them. And then we are the green space. Next slide. Again, the pink areas are the empty lots, and we did put the floodplain in. And so you can see that a lot of the empty lots will stay empty because of the floodplain and the floodway that comes through there. It is unlikely that they'll be used for much of anything other than solar, and solar is not homes. So next slide. There is a lot of solar in the area, which is why I bring that up. So the red and the pink are the solar fields. The white, which directly runs behind us, is mineral and aggregate mining. We are the teeny tiny white square. Next slide, please. So this is on the field during an event. We are standing at the east side of the field, and the event is taking place in the far, I'm sorry, this perspective is from the west end of the field looking east. The event is taking place on the east end of the field, and you can barely see it. Keep going, please. And different perspectives. So this one is looking west to east. Next slide. And again, looking out over towards the White Tank Mountains. Next slide. And this is if you're standing right in the middle of the field. So if there is 7 acres behind you and 7 acres in front of you, you still have plenty of distance before you get to where the actual events take place. Next slide. Okay, so here's where it gets technical. When we applied for this permit, it was under the old zoning ordinances, not the new zoning ordinances. And there is a difference between the two that is significant. We would ask that our permit be considered under the old zoning ordinances, since that was what was in effect when we applied and during our TAC meeting. The old ordinances do allow for, under 1301.1.11, it allows for land use involving large assembly of people. And under 1301.1.13, recreational open air facilities are also allowed in the rural R43 zoning without having additional specific qualifiers listed in the ordinances. Next slide. Okay, so the reason I bring that up is in the report prepared by Planning and Development, the assertion is that the reformatting of the new ordinances don't apply or don't really change anything, but they do, because under the special events venue section of the new ordinance, which was not in effect at the time we applied and was not approved by the Board of Supervisors yet, there are an additional A through G conditions which were not contemplated when we applied. And because of that, we would ask, not that they're a huge deal, they're not, but it's extra burdens that we were not aware would be applied to our permit. And so we're asking that our permit be, we're asking that our permit be considered under the ordinances that were in application, in effect at the time that we applied. Next slide. So this is kind of a breakout of what the new Chapter 10 looks like. And so Chapter 10 does allow for special uses that are listed in the use table, in addition to the special uses that are broken out specifically under Chapter 10. Next slide, please. The use table does show that land use involving large assembly of people is a separate thing from the special event venues, which is what Planning and Development would like to move us to. And under the land use of large assembly of people, there is not the additional qualifications that is with the special event venue. Next slide, please. And so that next slide also shows that recreational open air space facilities are allowed under the use table as well. There are also several other agenda items on today's agenda that are for event venues that are being allowed to stay under the old ordinance and not being moved to the new ordinance. And we would ask for that same consideration. Next slide, please. So some of the things that we've asked for to be varied with our application is we have asked to leave the property in as much of a natural condition as possible while still maintaining a good quality environment, such as treating the parking lot and the driveways with alternative methods that are approved under the air quality control regulations, by using gravel, by using a emulsion agent, an agent that makes the crust, the chemical agent that makes a crust. And we are asking to not be required to put up block walls, as that defeats the purpose of the natural source of things. So we are asking that we be allowed to use the current fencing that we have. We do have plans to add additional plants for screening along those fence lines as finances allow. And it is always our intention to be good neighbors to all of our neighbors. And so we are asking for some of those alternative options to be applied to our permit. Next slide, please.
So you're a little bit past 10 minutes.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. How much more time would you like?
Okay, maybe it would be better if I say, what questions do you have for me? Because I'm so nervous.
All right,
I'm
in
sorry.
that case, let me ask staff to respond to the claim, the applicant's claim that the use permit requirements have changed.
Yes, ma'am. Uh, the new ordinance became effective January 9th of this year. That is what is in effect today, not the old ordinance. Uh, For people that have entitlement and are seeking permits, and they submitted the permits and received technical review before that effective date of January 9th, we will continue to review them under the old ordinance if it's to their benefit, um, so long as they complete their permits, meaning complete the construction as well by July 9th. That was giving them half a year. An example of that may be changes to what's allowed for accessory dwelling units. Previously, you could have an accessory dwelling unit one per property, and they could be as close as 3 feet to a lot line and 30 feet high. Under the new ordinance, you have the potential for more than one accessory dwelling unit, but if they encroach outside of the principal building envelope, they must be set back at least 5 feet from lot lines and not more than 18 feet high. So if someone had a building permit in for 3 feet and 30 feet, that may proceed. This property does not have zoning entitlement for a large assemblage of people or an event venue at this time. The one effective substantive change is that today an application would require a minimum of 3 acres for us to process for an event venue, an outdoor event venue, and this site meets that. There is nothing with the ordinance update that affects staff's review of this application. All those other items are still the issues that staff would review and analyze as part of our recommendation to you. So the concern with a large assemblage of people without what we consider the necessary infrastructure improvements, we would still recommend denial. If those improvements were provided, as indicated by the handout memo and in the staff report, we would recommend support. We support the actual land use. So that's what's before you today, and understand that this is not a situation like a permit where you check off requirements and then you're approved. This is discretionary approval. Your recommendation is discretionary, and the board's ultimate disposition of this case is discretionary, regardless of our recommendation or your recommendation.
Thank you. And then I do have a question for you. So health and safety is an important consideration when we look at cases, and that seems to be the crux of the staff's
Absolutely.
recommendation here. And so I guess it looks as though staff's provided you with 2 alternatives. One is to skinny down the size of your events so that you don't need to do the infrastructure improvements, or to do the events as large as you're requesting that you'll need to make some infrastructure improvements for wastewater, water, and electric. Could you explain why neither one of those options are agreeable to you?
Okay, so it's not that the options aren't agreeable to us. It is, so the most recent proposal that we received from Planning and Development on Tuesday afternoon, I have a couple of questions about it. It did take me some time to review and process some of that information. So let me pull that up really quick. Bear with me. There we go. Okay, so on the handout that Planning and Development provided, my question for them is, like, in the 3rd paragraph, it says there are certain infrastructure requirements. The 2nd sentence says, for instance, events of 50 persons or more will require half-street right-way dedication. Is it 50 persons or 50 cars? Because the road doesn't care about people. The road cares about cars.
Staff answer that.
So I am, because I would have no problem with 49 cars being my limit. That's fine.
Let's see what staff can clarify.
Madam Chair, members of the board, as we went back and we looked at this, where that one's coming from. So let me back up just a little bit. What's been going on the property is that she said she's got a very beautiful property. It's a great event. We don't have an issue with the events. She's been operating under temporary use permits for the last few years. And each year it gets incrementally more and more intense. And so the intent of what was requested is that instead of a temporary entitlement, this is a permanent entitlement. And with permanent entitlement, you have to come into conformance with infrastructure standards, building codes, just like any other commercial business in Maricopa County. So with that, we took another look at the request itself, and we went back into the departments, into the environmental services, McDOT, and said, all right, what caps could we put on the permanent entitlement that would still mimic that intermittent type use? Where is that limit that we could justifiably say that this is still acting like an intermittent and low intensity use? And what we've got in that final handout that we gave you is that limit. Now, as it relates to McDOT, McDOT went back out last week, or in the last couple of weeks, ran their counts along that road. Where this kicks into is there's a certain service level on that road. If it kicked into about 100 cars, they're about 20 cars away from that for their rate that they're looking for on that. With that 20 to 25 cars and 2 persons per vehicle, about 50 individuals would come in about that 25 cars. That's what would be kicking in that need for that dedication. So really, any more intensity on this site is the dedication is needed. Per section 804 of the zoning ordinance, with an entitlement, a rezoning, or a special use request, the board can request the dedication or require the dedication of that right away. So that's where that comes from. So back to her question, it's not 50 people. It is 50 people, and the understanding that 50 people would probably be coming in with the 20 to 25 cars.
Thank you.
So I did receive the updated traffic counts, and I crunched the numbers according to the roadway design manual, according to the current classification, and according to the future classifications that are available online in the roadway design manual, as well as the traffic impact study report. And I believe that I believe that the wrong categories are being applied. And I say that in part because we argued emphatically that the wrong future use category was being applied to the road. And we did make a little bit of wiggle room on that. But when you look at the current classification of the road and the future classification of the road, as well as the functional capacity limits set by McDOT, we are under any triggers. The only way we would trigger to a new category or a new level of service is if we were considered a local road, which we are not. We are currently considered a minor collector, and a major collector is what the future designation is according to all of the most recent McDOT records.
Thank you. Is that the only issue in staff's recommendation that you take issue with?
Cars versus people? Yes.
All of the other,
Well, we would ask for a little bit of wiggle room on like major holidays, but yeah, that's.
all right, well, why don't we have some folks who want to speak? Why don't we let, any commissioners have any questions at this time?
Madam Chair, I just want some clarification.
Commissioner Rockwell.
So just to clarify her question, the only issue you have is over the road dedication and future improvements. You don't have any issue with the request for fresh water connection, for septic tank or sewage connection. It's just the roadway.
Under the latest proposal by Planning and Development, we are in agreement to use alternative services and to be able to use porta potties and provide drinking water and have hand wash stations because of the unique characteristics of the property. We are not able to put in septic because of the high water table. There is no pressurized water on that end of the property at all. There's no electricity on that end of the property. The infrastructure requirements would just be inordinately huge. And we can't put in a septic because of the soil composition, the high water table, and just the area in general.
Just for staff to confirm, that is accurate. We've reached an agreement on those.
Madam Chair, Member Rockwallick, it's correct that what you're seeing in the proposed conditions of approval are setting maximum counts for numbers of people, number of events, and the days that those events can happen. So it's specifically between October and April on weekends and holidays. It's capping out at 49 individuals. Once we get up above that, we're needing to see those improvements per the building code and the health code. So yes, with those caps, we're in agreement.
And we're in agreement with the emulsification of the spray for the non-dust-proof surface as opposed to a paved parking.
So Member Rockwallick, they will need to continue to meet dust control purposes. And so if that meets the air quality's dust control requirements, that would be acceptable. That's commonly something that's happened. As part of that grading and drainage, though, that parking area, as soon as you get above that many people, we start in and you see that plan, ADA accessibility, ADA accessible routes. And so that level of people and that level of intensity on the site was somewhere that the departments were comfortable stating that what's being proposed can be accommodated on what would be an intermittent basis.
Madam Chair, would you like me to quickly try and outline the handout memo from this morning? Because that's what we're referencing.
No, I'm okay. I just wanted to confirm. I appreciate that.
So
Unless anybody else does.
what the applicant has spoken to is stipulation D, which says events shall only be held on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and only October through April. There should be a maximum of 40 event days per year. I believe she's wanting that to say Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and then in parentheses, plus holidays.
Major holidays.
And then the other item that she has concerns with would be stipulation M, which says ultimate half-street right-of-way dedication for 331st Avenue adjacent to the parent parcel. The half-street improvements will be waived. It sounds like she does not agree to the dedication, but we're not asking for any improvements under this scenario. Stipulations A through O as per the handout memo.
And what about stipulation C that limits to 49 people? I thought that was a concern.
Cars is what I would like. I would like it to say 49 cars. And then the holidays, as he mentioned, I would note that there's actually 2 letter I's on the second page. So that's kind of so that'll change the things.
Good catch.
And then as far as the ultimate half-street right-of-way dedication, the road has been a very contentious issue. If the road is the holding point, we will give you the road.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's, why don't you take a seat? I'm sure we'll have lots more. Commissioners have any other comments before we go to public comment?
I just have one. So if we go over 49 people, then that is going to trigger everything else that the other agencies want: permanent water, permanent wastewater, and half the road improvements.
And Chair Member Hernandez, that's correct.
I just want to.
Yep. Thank you. All right, so first speaker we have is Jane Pfeiffer, and Jane will be followed by Mark Graham, T. Mark Graham.
I already did that.
Pardon me?
I already did that.
You're Jane Pfeiffer? Oh, sorry. All righty. We'll have T. Mark Graham and then Jessica O'Reilly.
Hi, I'm Mark Graham. I'm the property owner, so obviously I'm in support. I don't know whether I should use this time to just say, look, we want to let dogs play in a safe place. That's what this is all about. The road needs to be removed from your consideration on this. We have spent hours with Department of Transportation discussing the road. The problem is they don't own the road. They cut the road through my front yard without getting any right of way. And now they're using the road dedication as leverage on our special use permit. and it is highly unfair. I have offered to sell them the road. They are not interested in buying it as the Board of Supervisors required them to do back in '96, and are instead essentially bullying us to give up my private property and trade for a permit that I should otherwise be entitled to apply for. So I recommend that the board take the road issue, set it aside, and we promise we will work with the Department of Transportation to come up with a equitable solution. Because in that 2-mile stretch, the Department of Transportation only owns 1/3 of it. And so it's not just a problem with me, it's a problem with my other neighbors. And so please just take the road dedication out of it, and we will deal with it as a separate issue, because it is going to be a major issue. But it shouldn't prevent dogs from playing in the field.
Thank you, Mr. Crane. Next, we'll have Jessica O'Reilly. And then following Jessica will be Brad Mayfield.
Good morning, Jessica O'Reilly. I am a precinct committee woman for Siloam Precinct, Legislative District 25. First, I want to recognize and thank you guys for having us today. I want to recognize projects like Gamble Field. Their special use permit should be approved. The project respects our land, it blends with our area, it provides learning opportunities for children like my own, and it brings the community together. They're an example of responsible growth that doesn't sacrifice our rural character. I also want to point out, obviously they have a lot of support, 377 letters of support with only 1 opposition. I am very familiar with the property. I have attended myself. They've made substantial reductions, and I am familiar with their applicant process. In response to your feedback, they've made so much in reductions, including decreasing the number of the event days, reducing the traffic volume, and I believe that it demonstrates their good faith effort and willingness to work with the county standards. I respectfully ask that any conditions of approval reflect the revised scope and be based on the measurable impacts rather than assumptions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Brad Mayfield.
Hello, hope your day's going well. So my viewpoint is towards Marks on the road. Van Buren, 331st, Lower Buckeye, all the way to Broadway is a mess. The county, years ago, allowed the roads to go in without being purchased. I have 3 homes on that stretch. Traffic travels on it. I've never received letters, requests, anything. They just take the property, allow traffic to go. What they've done by not getting Mark's property and my property, you have homes, trailers that were permitted by Maricopa County that do not have legal access. If we own the property and we were to close off our roads, what would these homeowners do? No emergency services, nothing could reach them. The county has a mess, the road division, not you guys, I guess, but it needs to be dealt with on a separate entity, and it's going to take some doing. So I agree with Mark. The road situation is a mess that should not be included into their permit request. That should be 2 different entities to be solved. And I love what they do. It's a blast. You should go out there. Those dogs are cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayfield. Next, we'll have Merrill Wolf, and followed by Robin Brown.
Good morning. I'm just a participant. I take my dogs out to run at Gamble Field. It is a beautiful, safe place out in the country, fenced, safe from cactus and some of the other desert dwellers. We just love it, and we just would hate to not have a place to run activities and sports. So we love it. So thank you.
Thank you for coming down, Ms. Wolf. Robin Brown is next, followed by John D'Amato.
Hi, I have dogs that we run there, and it's at a special place. It's large. We have large dogs, greyhounds that need a lot of room. And aside from going out in the desert where there's snakes and cactus and such, there's no other place that we know of in Phoenix where we can go and let our dogs let loose. They need a big space, and this is it. So we hope you'll approve the permit.
Thank you. Thank you. John D'Amato, followed by Soria.
I don't think that's right. Not my property that will work.
Are you Mr. D'Amato?
Yes.
Would you like to speak? It says agenda item number 5. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, sir. All right, I'm sorry, it didn't match. We put the wrong agenda item number on it. I apologize. So this is item number 6. Okay. Okay, we'll continue with number 5. I'm sorry, this is really hard to read. Sandra. Sandra, no last name. And Sandra, if you'd state your full name for the record, please.
Pardon?
If you'll state your full name for the record, please.
Sandra Garnett Perkins.
Thank you.
So I live on the corner of Lower Buckeye, Wickenburg. 331st becomes Wickenburg, Lower Buckeye continues, and then Lower 331st. I'm up on a hill and the noise comes from the river. I hear shooting at all hours. I hear music 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I rarely hear the dogs. I have attended 2 events, had lunch, beautiful area. The traffic that goes by my house is unbelievable. Everyone feels that 35 miles an hour is not fast enough. 2 dirt roads. I've seen them go through the stop signs. I have been flipped off when I've yelled at them to please slow down when I'm walking up to the mailbox. And the noise is unbelievable. But I've yet to be outside and hear all these dogs. They're noisy when you're down there. That's what it's about. It's like a bunch of children finally breaking loose at a birthday party. It's not every day. It's not every week. It's not every month. It's certain times and it's always during the day. There's no noise from their place at night. And I just think they should be approved. It's a wonderful, wonderful place to, you all should just take a drive and go out there to one of their events. Seriously. Take your wife, get your husband, take you, grab the grandkids, go take in an event and see what it's about. To see these dogs running, chasing a rabbit, I mean, and they're so excited, and the people are so excited, and the food vendor is so good. They're allowed one, but please just consider, and any doubts, go see for yourself.
Thank you. And the last speaker is Kimberly Lowry.
I'm Kimberly Lowry. My property starts at 331st in Lower Buckeye. That's the corner of my property and goes toward James. The back half of the gamble field, the only thing between their property and mine is a barbed wire fence. I have no issues with the events. I have more of a problem with people shooting in the wash. I've not had a traffic issue. Anytime I've had a question, I went and talked to them. I've never had an issue with them. Okay, the problem they're having with the road, I agree. Let's take that, put that on a different agenda because I'm part of that road. Their private property, they've got the road going right across my property as well. And I have 18 acres. I have had no problem with any of the traffic for any of the events. The traffic I have is local, a kid down the road who wants to go 80 miles an hour up and down the road. But as far as the events, they have not ever caused us an issue. They do water the road. They do try to make it as minimal as possible on the dirt. I agree with the events. I've participated. We visited. My grandkids love to go down there. Yeah, I agree that we need to separate the road issue from their permit. And I hope their permits get approved because they've done nothing but good for the community. Thank you.
Thank you for coming down. Do we have any speakers online?
Chair, I have 5 or potentially 6. I'm trying to talk to the last person, but I have Keith Cronbach. Sorry, let me unmute Keith. So, okay, Keith should be able to unmute and speak. Keith, you need to unmute on your end, and then we should be able to hear you.
Hello,
Hello?
can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
My name is Keith Cronbach. I've been a local resident of Tonopah for almost 30 years now, and I feel I'm in support of Gamble Field. I've been to several events there, and I don't see an issue with people being there, how many people there. The one event I went to, there was probably about 70 people, and there was no issues that I saw. The road, I'm a local business owner also, and I travel that road constantly, and it is overwhelmed, and it should be put on a separate agenda as most of it cuts across private property. So I'm in support of Gamble Field. Thank you for your time,
Thank you, Mr.
Commissioners.
Brumbaugh.
Chair, the next speaker was Jack Locken, but he said that he's in support and was willing to save his conversation so we had more time. The next person I have is Thomas Dushku, and Thomas should be able to speak now.
Hello. Am I being heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Thomas Dushku, and I'm here to speak in support of Gamble Field. I've been a business associate of Mark and Jane for 20 years and know how they love animals and their community. Since Mark and Jane have moved to Tonopah, I have had an opportunity on multiple occasions to visit the field, and they have hosted multiple canine activities. On every occasion, I have witnessed nothing but unparalleled professionalism and courtesy to both the attendees and neighbors, and a pristine, natural, and safe environment for the dogs to enjoy themselves. I urge the Planning and Zoning Commission to please approve the Gamble Field permit, as I see it as an absolute boon for the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for calling in.
The next speaker I have is June Sorry.
Bianca.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Sorry.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for allowing me to speak. This is June Biancalana, and I live in West Haven, Utah. And I am also a board member of the Utah Sighthound Racing and Coursing Club. And I urge you to approve the Gamble Field permit as requested by the owners. Gamble Field is an outstanding location for our sport of sighthounds. It's a sport that continues to struggle with sufficient locations for our dogs to safely run. And Gamble Field is not only safe, but the natural, pleasant surroundings are actually extremely beneficial to the performance of our dogs. And the infrastructure as it is currently at Gamble Field is more than sufficient for the events that I personally have attended. And the infrastructure, including the porta potties and the wash stations, have been always kept pristine, and always the wash stations are always full, and soap, everything that's there. It's been an outstanding location, and was very impressed with how the owners run that property. I would like to say that I travel from Salt Lake, so it's over a 700-mile one-way trip to take my dogs to these events held at their property. I have competed over the last 10 years in California, Utah, Arizona, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, Idaho, and Kansas. And this is one of the safest and probably the best locations I have ever ran my dogs on. And I would like you to know that Gamble Field is well known in the sighthound community far outside of Arizona. And when we talk about going to a field that we've never been to, we ask our fellow competitors what they think of this field, and including American Kennel Club and American Sighthound Field Association judges and participants have all recommended this field, which is why I have taken my dogs to the field just this past month and also last year. So again, thank you for allowing me to speak in support of this amazing location. The natural feel of this is just something it's a gem. You just cannot find these kinds of locations anymore. I've been to so many different states, and I strongly urge you to approve this permit for Gamble Field. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you for calling in.
Chair, I had two more people that had reached out. Renee Vitullo wanted to speak, but I do not have the ability to enable a microphone, and so I can't do that. But they indicated they were in support, and Christina Stage also was in support of the permit. So that's
Okay,
all
thank
I
you.
have.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you guys a question. Could you address the comments that were made about the road?
So, Madam Chair, that's kind of what we were discussing. McDOT has identified, and as you've heard, there's an amount of traffic that's already utilizing that road. And so within the entitlement case, especially one that's increasing intensity onto the site, they always request the dedication of that right of way. They also typically request the improvements to go along with that. In this instance, under that cap, they're not requesting those improvements. So right now, the recommendation from McDOT is that we require the dedication of the right of way.
What about the claim that says that the county doesn't own the road now, that it's infringing on what they're saying is private property?
So, correct. Sorry, Madam Chair, that is exactly what the discussions are that are happening right now. Dedication would be to the county. The road has existed in various conditions for the last couple of decades. In this instance, the McDOT is requesting that dedication so that that roadway is brought into Maricopa County's street system.
And Madam Chair, to add on, Council just reminded me that that's the case for every dedication to gain ownership of the right of way into the county system.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So I grew up in a county island, dirt roads, large lots, and plenty of times property owners would try to close off access to the streets through the community. But there were easements on those lots. Are there easements on these lots?
Board Member Rockwallick, or Commissioner Rockwallick, to my knowledge, this is not an easement.
Got it. Thank you.
What about the claim by some that this county should pay them for that right of way?
That would be the discussions on how we obtain right of way within Maricopa County, whether it's purchased or by dedication.
So that would be outside of this?
Correct.
And Madam Chair, that doesn't necessarily affect the condition as written, but that is standard procedure for entitlement cases, subdivisions, is you obtain dedication for the half width adjacent to the site in almost every instance, which is separate from when someone builds a house on an existing lot.
And is separate from the bigger issue that these people are bringing up. Okay. Commissioners have any other questions about that? All right. Would the applicant like to speak? Oh,
I'm I'm sorry, Madam Chair, but Commissioner Toma asked, he left the hearing. He was in at 9:30 and left at 9:40, but he sent a chat and he asked staff to read it if that's okay.
Sure.
It's Mihai Toma says, I have a bad connection. If another commissioner or staff reads this, could you please read the statement for me? This is my district. I fully support staff's recommendation to deny this special use permit. Although there are letters of support that should not exempt the applicant from making the improvements needed to use this site for the intended use. That was at 9:40.
Thank you. Do we still have a quorum? Okay.
Madam Chair, sorry. Did we close public comment because there was one other hand raised online?
We'll go ahead and hear it.
David, if you can unmute him, please.
Yeah, Joseph Pena also wanted to speak. Joseph, I've unmuted your microphone. If you can unmute on your device, you should be able to speak.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you guys, okay, you guys can't hear me, okay. My name is Joseph Pena. I live just south of Mark and Jane. I share a fence with them. We enjoy having the events. My daughters go to the events. They support their events. I mean, I have over 100 animals that border that fence line, and we have no effect over it. We enjoy watching the events. Traffic wise, I mean, coming down this road and all that stuff, there is no extreme traffic that I've ever seen come down this road, and it's never an issue. And they go 25 under the speed limit, so they're going 5 miles per hour down the road. I mean, I've helped out a couple of people on the road before that have had issues that are at the events, and they're lovely people. According to like the bathroom situation, they're clean. The wash stations, they're great. I mean, they're gone the next day, and I mean, they're all put away. Everything's in a good fashion order. Everything beautiful. I mean, the field's great. There's no trash. I don't have any trash on my field. I mean, everything's great. So I don't see why this is a big issue. So, but I am in full support of Gamble Field, and I would really appreciate if they could keep doing these events, because my daughters like joining in the events. So it's also kid friendly. Thank you.
Thank you. And if I could just comment too, the question for us today is about health and safety. I'm sure it's a lovely property and you run beautiful events, and there's no issue with the use. It's a matter of the health and safety of the people who are attending those events, and that's what these conditions are trying to address. So would you like to respond to?
Yes, please.
How much time would you like?
5 minutes for this one.
Thank you.
All right. I do have a question for the person running the slides. Can you see the slide numbers? Because then we can just jump ahead. So it's slide number 56. If you can skip forward. Or if you just start flipping, I can tell you when you get to the right one.
And Madam Chair, while she's doing that, Commissioner Toma just notified me that he has been on. He has audio connection issues, but he is on.
Thank you.
Keep going. Keep going. Okay. Okay, go back, please. I'm sorry. Back one more. There we go. Okay, so in regards to the infrastructure as far as restrooms and water, there are specific provisions in the Arizona and the McDOT, or I'm sorry, Arizona and Maricopa County Department of Maricopa County Environmental Services Department, there we go, as well as the zoning ordinances that specifically talk about what the preferred method is for sanitation. It is preferred, it is not required. There is a hierarchy in play. The first one being attaching to a sewer system. Well, that's just not an option. There's no sewers out there. The second one being putting in a septic tank and permanent restroom building. However, there is a third option, and that is to use the portable toilets and chemical toilets when you meet certain conditions, and our property meets all of those conditions. The conditions that you have to meet in order to be able to use chemical toilets are as follows. You can use chemical toilets where connection to an approved sewage disposal system is impractical or impossible. It's impossible, we don't have any sewer. Where water under pressure is not available, there is no water under pressure out there. Or where installation of an individual sewer disposal system or other approved method is impractical or impossible. That is exactly what we have going on this field. The groundwater level on that area of the field is less than 15 feet below your feet. If I put in a septic there, I will pollute the entire water table. Surely nobody wants me to do that. Not only that, but according to Maricopa County's own records, the soil composition on that end of the field is one that is not conducive to septic tanks. It is an unsuitable, not draining portion of soil. There is no water under pressure out there without us having to drill a well, without having to do a whole lot of other things. These are OR conditions, and we meet every single one of them. It is absolutely impractical for us to put in a septic system, a well, a bathroom building, and run electricity. The code gives us the latitude to use portable restrooms. The intensity from what we use now under our temporary use permits and the potential growth of growing to, we've offered to restrict it all the way back to 35 days a year. The growth is not substantial from what we're doing now. And the portable toilets have worked well. And we have a licensed professional company that services them. We have no desire for there to be a mess on the property. We have no desire to skirt the rules. It is that we cannot put in a septic. It's not that we don't want to, it's that we can't. And the rules allow us to use porta potties. I hope that answers. I mean, I have more slides and I can show you the county records that say the soil is bad. If you go to the next slide, I believe it's 3 slides down, it shows next one. So this shows the water table. Everywhere that's blue is that high water table. Next slide. So the red arrow points to where we are as far as soil composition, and it is composition 4. And the next slide shows the county's determination of those being unsuitable for septic systems. The county created these records, and now they're trying to hold us to a different standard. The county said the area is bad for septic. Oh, but put in a septic. We can't. We can't. What other questions can I?
Okay, thank you, Ms. Pfeiffer. Commissioner Rockwell.
So there were, it looked like 2 residential properties on the south west corner of the larger lot, although those are not included in the special use permit request. Are those structures, are they on septic?
They are, but so the thing that's unique about this area, and you can't really get a photograph of it, and overhead aerials don't show it, is that the properties that sit alongside 331st Avenue where the homes are, those are actually those are higher in elevation than the property is when you get to the back far east end. And my neighbor Kimberly can attest to that. And again, Mr. Mayfield has been in the area forever and is intimately familiar with all of that area, as well as the river bottom and the trust land. The ground level drops.
So is it not possible to put the septic tank on the west side of the property then, if it's not capable of being put on the east side of the property per your remarks?
No one would use it. No one's going to walk. The special use permit is limited to the area on the east end, in part to accommodate and be respectful of our neighbors. The closer we get to the west end, the closer we get to their homes. So the activity area being on the east end is necessary because it is the area where parking is available. It is the area that is the least impactful of the neighbors. It is the area that is the most open and the most available. And so it is kind of a odd situation. No, we would not be able to put a septic tank in any useful place on the property for the attendees.
And as far as events, it sounds like a lot of people out here to support you are referencing dog events. At the beginning, you had referenced not the music festival, because you had recognized that was quite a large event that you guys were not necessarily the most prepared for. But is it just the dog events, or do you guys do other events as well? Or are you planning to do other events as well?
So right now it is just the dog events. All of the events that we've had under this temporary use permit and last year's temporary use permit have been strictly the dog events. We do ask for a little bit of flexibility for doing Easter egg hunts for the kids. Or if there is like we did do, one other thing that we did do was a memorial for Charlie Kirk. We did a small gathering on the property for that. So there are a few other odd type of events, but nothing like the concerts that we did before. We're not doing concerts, we're not doing weddings, we're not doing quinceañeras, we're not doing large scale birthday parties, we're not doing heavy intense use.
And then one last question. So none of the septic or the water requirements are being asked for if you remain 49 people, which we heard from staff, I guess estimated to be about 25 cars, but you are asking for that 49 number to be the count of cars, which.
Correct.
So you're expecting your events to then be around 100 people is what you're asking for 49 cars?
No, we would expect between 49 and 60 people. Unfortunately, most people do drive separately. And so that's because they have crates of dogs in their car. These dogs are awesome, but they're huge. So yeah, the number of cars and the number of people, they're often very similar. And it is, so the last event we had on Saturday, we had 49 cars with a grand total of 70 people on Saturday. On Sunday, we had 35 cars and 38 people. And that's a typical size. That's very common. I mean, they had a great turnout on Saturday, a great turnout. It's usually not that many.
Thank you for answering my questions.
Mr. Gerard.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Toma at 1036 commented, as a former general contractor, I would like to note for the rest of the board that there are alternative septic systems available that could be installed on site.
Thank you. Commissioner Finter.
Thank you. Thanks for everybody coming out and looking at this. If I can do a heart-to-heart without a lot of the technical stuff, this Maricopa County is a massive area. And each of these commissioners come from a specific geographical area. And it's really important to the other commissioners when the commissioner in this area seems very reluctant to support this issue. Now, in my days at the City of Mesa and East Valley, what I see now, this is a dog park. And we're down to, if I read and heard this correctly, it's a couple of points. One is a dedication of roadway, and it sounds like a really big issue. And then the number of people versus cars. You know, I hear these numbers, and these were great questions. Is there an opportunity, and I ask staff or Madam Chair, you find folks to maybe look at a continuance to hash out a little bit more, work with your Commissioner Toma to try and get to the right area? Because if I was a guesser, I would guess this is not going your way. And you know, it's just me guessing. And you might want to see, you know, I was taken back a little bit about how strongly people feel with the easement and the roadways and that. That is a big issue. It sounds like such a wonderful thing you're doing, this wonderful dog park, community involvement. Please don't let this die with a denial on a couple of points that maybe could be worked out or hashed through. So that's just my comments. Would you be open to maybe work more closely with Commissioner Toma and others and staff to see if you could find the right way to do this that everybody wins? Always looking for the everybody wins.
Yes, sir. I agree that finding the win-win is always the best option if it's available. As far as Commissioner Toma goes, I've had no interaction with him. I don't believe he's ever been to the property, or if he has not identified himself. I've had no, to say that I'm shocked by his statements is an understatement. I've had no interaction with him, so I'm not sure where he's getting some of his information from. That being said, we were scheduled for, to appear before you in February. We did a continuance at Planning and Development's request to try to work out some of these issues. Unfortunately, that did not go well. We have met with Maricopa County Department of Transportation regarding the issue of the road being taken years ago without compensation, and the fact that we're still paying property taxes on a county-maintained road and a county-controlled road. We thought we would get some resolution with that, as we were told it'll give us a couple of weeks, we'll get back to you. They didn't, and I reached out again and give us a little more time and give us a little more time. And so we have been giving them time. We've been giving them opportunity. We have made multiple record requests to try to understand how these formulas work and what these metrics are, and unfortunately, those are not forthcoming. So whether another continuance will work or not, I honestly don't know. And I'm so frustrated and tired, I could cry. And I don't have a good answer.
I appreciate how frustrated you are on this. Looking at these big government operations, a lot of times, sometimes if you can just find a place to go back, and it sounds like and Commissioner Toma's wonderful. He usually and always is involved and really sensitive to issues. So maybe there's an opportunity here to visit with them and maybe work with staff to just one more continuance, one more opportunity. You're already operating under a temporary permit, so maybe just a little bit more time to work through this issue and then see if you're able to find this opportunity to make this work for everyone. I don't know. I kindly ask. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but that's my one thought.
Can I have 60 seconds to discuss it with Mark?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. And Madam Chair, what Jane didn't tell you was when we had a meeting, gave them the continuance. I thought they wanted the continuance because they realized how badly they had screwed up, how they were improperly applying the highest standards and not alternative standards. So I said, okay, we'll let you have your continuance so you can get all your ducks in a row, and this won't have to become a federal case. It was just dogs playing in a field, man. We're not trying to do anything crazy. They came back with a set of requirements that was more restrictive than what they had recommended in the beginning. They have not been dealing in good faith. I don't want a continuance. We are not dealing with people who are being fair and equitable, and, well, that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Gerard, did you want to add
Oh,
something?
Madam Chair, I was only going to point out that I believe earlier in the
Microphone on.
Madam Chair, I wanted to point out that, there's a handout before you with a alternative for staff recommendation for approval that correctly should read A through P. So, and the applicant has asked us to change D to include holidays. And then the language in M may be more palatable if it read ultimate half-street right-of-way dedication for 331st Avenue adjacent to the parent parcel at the discretion of McDOT. McDOT could decide there's no dedication necessary, but I don't see that changing for anything above 50 people.
You're talking about M.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm sorry, that would be in renumbered, but M on the handout memo. And so I think it comes down to the C, where attendance is limited to 49 people or fewer, and without infrastructure improvements, I don't see staff
Well, now
budgeting for
the
that number.
applicant said 60 is only 11 more people.
Correct.
Does this board have, or do we have the discretion to recommend an exception to 60?
We're talking about, just to understand the question, 49 versus 60 people. The other place where that line comes into play is in the building code itself. This is be considered an assembly occupancy as far as the assemblage of people. We were trying to find that line of where is that intermittent use or that temporary type nature that we could rely on something within the code to hang our hat on. Under the code in chapter 3 and in chapter 4, it discusses occupancy levels below 50 people could be considered a B occupancy, which thus denoted a lessening of use. So it's a less intensity of use. As soon as you hit that level, you're treated as an assembly occupancy. So that's where that 50 came into. And so that's why we ended up at 49. And everywhere we went into our codes, it was about that level where it went from what would be considered an intermittent type use, similar to what a temporary use permit would be like, to full-on permanent type entitlement. So that's where we came up with 50.
Commissioner Finder.
Yes, so temporary use permit that there's currently operating on, does anything go away if there's a denial at this point? Can we work with the
Mr.
folks?
Finter, I believe it expires in March.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Finter, that's valid until the expiration date, which is coming up. And I should clarify, the previous reference to code was building code, not to be confused with zoning ordinance, which is where the temporary use permit language is.
Commissioner Rockwell.
On existing and renumbered N, as it relates to the half-street right-of-way dedication, you guys had talked about changing that to at the discretion of McDOT, recognizing that McDOT is unlikely to change their opinion. I'm not sure it's just the people that, the amount of people that the applicant may still have a problem with. And so I would ask the applicant, if that were changed to at the discretion of McDOT, is that still a concern?
If it were changed to be at the discretion of McDOT, it would allow a couple of things to happen. It would allow more time for us to work with McDOT regarding the previous issue of when the road was built and how it was built through private property. It would also allow better understanding and explanation of how these metrics work. And then if McDOT did ultimately come back to us and say, okay, this is how the numbers work. Yeah, because if I calculated it wrong, I calculated it wrong. But until somebody tells me, I don't know. Then yes, we could adjust that in the future directly with McDOT, and we would be fine with that.
Mr. Gerard, just for confirmation, if it's at the direction or discretion of McDOT, theoretically, McDOT could not have any conversations and just say, we will take the dedication.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Rockwell, first, I've been told that McDOT doesn't want to change the language that's written in the memo.
I would imagine, to be honest with you, I would imagine they not. Hence the line of questioning.
And right, and McDOT is available to speak online, the director of McDOT. And I could say, yeah, McDOT will require dedication under certain circumstances, or they will seek to acquire dedication in other circumstances, such as where there's single-family homes, not a subdivision development, not a zone change, such as a special use permit.
Actually, I may have a question for McDOT, but I will ask the question and I will let McDOT determine it. Well, I will let you guys determine if you can answer it or if you need McDOT to answer it. We heard a lot from residents nearby this existing property, all of whom I assume are using the existing road structures out there. We've additionally heard from the residents that the existing road structures out there are built on private property. Do these lots have legal access without these roadways that were built on private property?
If McDot's able to speak, we'll defer them. If there's not, if he's not able to speak, we'll try and speak to it. You know, it's just, you know. Are Jesse or Angela from McDot online? I had heard they were, and I don't know if they're able to speak.
Mhm.
And so it's a change in entirely. Right, that's exactly what this is. And the concern is that.
Yeah, we should probably speak on the record on that anyway. What we were just talking, I realized we should have been speaking on the record. What we were talking about was whether or not well, it seems like it's a big mess with the roads. It's probably not relevant to this case. It's a bigger issue in the immediate area.
It is standard, Madam Chair, Commissioners, it is standard procedure to seek ultimate dedications with any entitlement such as subdivision plats, special use permits, rezones, plans of development, which is separate than somebody coming in for a building permit.
Yes, thank you. All right, so then if I go back to the applicant, if looking at the staff's recommendation, we modify D to say holidays. Are you otherwise agreeable to these conditions?
Or just for clarification, are holidays all the holidays in the year or the only holidays between October and April?
Oh, good question.
Holidays between October and April, we would stay within that restricted, we're not doing 4th of July. It's too hot.
Do we say state holidays, federal holidays? Do we need to be that clear?
I don't know.
Madam Chair, they're still limited to a maximum of 40 event days a year, so I think we're good.
Just say holidays, okay.
With the,
Okay, so if we make that change, if we just add to make the change to D to say holidays. Yes.
And Madam Chair, we have a statement from Commissioner Toma, 1046. He indicated, I'm happy to meet with the applicant and would thank everyone that has commented in person and online. I remain in support of staff's recommendation to deny this permit due to the concerns staff's raised. I hope the applicant can continue to work with staff to find a way to approve this. Assuming
Is Commissioner Toma not supportive of these conditions?
I don't know that specifically. I know.
He can hear us, so he can answer in the
Yes.
chat.
Did this ever start as a zoning? Did they ever get in trouble? Is this why the TUP started, or they were just being proactive and be the? Okay. So it sounds like the continuance is off the table. My recommendation would be to approve it as staff is, recommend approval as staff is outlined in this handout and allow the applicant some time to work to get more people and work with staff and Toma. And the only reason I'm recommending that is because their TUP is going to be up at the end of the month. That way they can at least operate through April, get them through the summer, and then maybe we can have some resolution before their next event year.
And Madam Chair, Commissioner Hernandez, I don't believe there has been a history of zoning violation. There's not been a case open due to citizen complaint. They came in for temporary use permits, and there was some complaint to the permit, but it's the same as the special use permit.
And I would also note too, I think they're requesting 30 years. I think it would be more appropriate to reduce this down to 10. Especially if you guys were going to be adding a bunch of permanent restrooms, permanent water, roadway modifications, I would definitely say 30 would be appropriate, but I think with no modifications, I think 10 is more appropriate.
we knew we were dreaming big and that 30 was not going to happen, but you have to pick a number, so we did.
And are you okay to add holidays to D?
Yeah.
And
I'm actually
Madam,
not sure if that's needed. If the addition of the words holidays, but they're still confined to 40 days, there are holidays between October and April that she said she really only wanted access to. As this is written, she has access to it, unless
I
it's
think if there's a
including
holiday
holidays.
During the week.
Monday
Right.
holiday.
Oh, you're right.
Or Thanksgiving, which is always a Thursday.
Madam Chair, Jesse Gutierrez, Director of McDOT, is available online if you still have questions for him.
Any questions for McDOT? No, thank you. All right, so would you like to make a motion?
I mean, is that acceptable to the applicant? I think that would buy you guys some time to continue working through some of these issues with Commissioner Toma. Otherwise, I think the only other outcome is going to be a recommendation for denial, and you guys have to start all over.
A continuance is absolutely preferable to a denial. I do believe that we are very close, although having not had an opportunity to meet with Commissioner Toma, I can't say what his specific concerns are, although I'm happy to meet with him to see if we can figure that out. So if the options are continuance or denial, we would take the continuance.
So I'm recommending approval
Well, that would be
per
awesome.
these stipulations, though. So
Okay. Question. So basically, the last thing they came up with, and our disagreement was the 10 years.
We'll take 10
We'll
years.
take 10, but really, I'd like 12. We're dealing with nonprofits here. It'll take 12 years just to amortize the application fee. And the number of people versus the number of cars. Because if you limit us to 50 people and we have 52, we're trying proactively to not be in a future violation, because we've watched all these meetings where people are coming in having messed up left, right, and center, and now they're begging for forgiveness. We don't want to beg for forgiveness. We want to be straight and narrow from the beginning. And
I
so if
agree
you
with you,
artificially decrease our number of people, it's going to be difficult.
I agree with you guys 100%. I want to commend you guys for doing this the right way by applying for a permit before you started your events, instead of doing your events and then getting your hand slapped and like, oh, I'm sorry.
If we can do 12 years, 50 cars, and
I'm recommending it's 10 years with these specific at 49, because when we get to 50 people, that's the trigger that drives everything else. I think this will buy you guys some time to continue to work with staff to maybe get that adjusted, and you can amend the SUP, correct me if I'm wrong, next year. But I think this is going to buy you some time to get you through the end of your event season to continue to operate legally.
Absolutely.
That is my recommendation. Nobody has to accept it. That's how I'm looking at it.
I'll just share my point of view. I would not be, unless staff recommends, unless there does not appear to be a reason to, in my opinion, to make an exception to 49 people. So if your hope is to work with staff to get that number raised, at least from my perspective, it's not likely. And I would not support an exception, or couldn't. Commissioner Finter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Because of this communication breakdown, can we get some feedback from Commissioner Toma on this?
Yes, Madam Chair, Commissioners, he did comment, he sent a couple of comments in at 10:54. He would not support the changes, meaning he agrees with, I believe he agrees with the motion from Vice Chair Hernandez.
Okay.
I agree with what was just said. Applicant needs to work with staff on this case, meaning future amendments if necessary. And that can be, for the record, that can be there's a flat fee for a modification of condition, which isn't like starting all over again. It still has public hearings, but it can be a much simpler process if all we're doing is changing a date or a number.
Thank you. Commissioner Rockwell.
I just want to make sure that with what Commissioner Hernandez says, that you guys are cognizant of what is included in that. That does include the half-street dedication.
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody online, folks online, commissioners online have any comments or questions? Okay, well, I guess I'll entertain a motion.
All right, with that, I will recommend approval of SU 250041 with the stipulations recommended by staff, with the exception that D includes holidays. and the re-lettering of the later stipulations.
Second.
Oh, yeah, and changing the term to 10 years from 30 years. That is an E. Okay, perfect. That's already in there.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Fernandez and a second by Commissioner Rockwall.
Commissioner Finter,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Yes.
Chair Milhaven,
Yes.
Commissioner Rockwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Toma, okay, that's a yes, and Commissioner Whitney.
Yes.
Chair, we have a motion recommending approval by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. All right, thank you, and thank you all for coming down. We'll move on to the next case, which is SU 240001 Rancho Bravo.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. SU 240001 is a special use permit request for an outdoor wedding and event venue in the rural 43 zoning district on approximately 8.8 acres. The site is located at the northwest corner of Indian Springs Road and 134th Avenue in the Avondale/Goodyear area, and it is known as Rancho Bravo. The applicant requests the use for private events on weekdays until midnight, Friday and Saturday until 1 a.m., and Sunday until 10 p.m. The proposal includes 88 parking spaces entirely located on the subject site. The applicant has provided dedicated restroom facilities for patrons with paved parking and walkway access. At the printing of the handout memo, staff has received 44 letters of opposition from nearby residents and 22 letters of support. While support letters speak of a desire for a venue in the area, the opposition letters speak to great concerns to late night noise and increased traffic and congestion in the area. Prior to this hearing, the applicant provided an update site plan showing a small 8-foot tall CMU wall in the party area to further help mitigate sound and travel. While staff is supportive of a daily wedding and event venue use on the parcel, staff does not concur with the requested operational times extending late into the night on weekdays and extending into the next day on weekends. Staff recommendation of approval comes with greatly reduced operational and restricted light hours that are more appropriate for rural residential areas nearby. Staff has provided a recommendation of operational hours of Sunday to Thursday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., with venue lights out by 9 p.m. Friday and Saturday availability of 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. with lights out by 11 p.m. Staff further recommends condition C2, which limits the attendance to 176 people, or approximately double the provided parking on site. It is staff's desire that if this case is approved, the neighborhood have a clear understanding of operational hours and not fear late night thumping beats. Staff recommends approval of SU 240001 subject to conditions A through K with the updated site plan condition A. Thank you very much. We'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. And we'll hear from the applicant.
Good morning, Honorable Chair. Can you hear me okay? Honorable Chair, Vice Chair, committee members, my name is Jordan Greenman, Greenman Law Firm, 1621 West Willetta Street, Phoenix, Arizona, 85007, here on behalf of the applicant and owner, Mr. Juan Bravo Villanueva. We're here today to discuss the application SU 24001 at 13414 West Indian Springs Road in Goodyear, Arizona. Will you be driving the, okay, well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank you so much for your time today. We'd like to walk you through the details of this request, starting with an overview of the property itself and its unique context. So the subject parcel itself is roughly a 9.5 acre parcel located in an unincorporated island of Maricopa County, surrounded by jurisdictions of Avondale and Goodyear. It is really important to note here, Honorable Chair, that this is immediately west of the Phoenix Raceway. We are roughly a half mile west of the parking area of the Phoenix Raceway and a mile west of the raceway itself. This is a major event venue that has established a critical precedent for event-based uses in this community. I'd like to now take a look at the property from an aerial perspective. So this is 13414 West Indian Springs Road. This is an aerial photograph. As you can see, this is a very large, spacious parcel with significant frontage on West Indian Springs Road, which is a major collector road. There is on-site infrastructure. There is proper infrastructure when it comes to roadways, dedications, There have been significant improvements on the site itself, which lends itself very well to a small event venue such as Rancho Bravo is what it's being called. The site's location places it at a unique intersection of jurisdictions and land use designations. Next slide, please. This map illustrates the surrounding zoning context here. Our site, marked in the center, is zoned RU43 in Maricopa County. To the east, of course, you have Avondale's major sports and entertainment district itself. City of Goodyear has rural zoning to the south and to the northwest. And of course, to the north, you have Gila River with a very large buffer of open space to the north. So I would like to mention we have roughly 150 acres of space to the north from a property owner called Spartan Industries. They are in support of this application itself. Next slide, please. So in order to get a feel for the property on the ground and really understand some of the unique aspects of this, which lend itself very well to a use such as this, it's very important to see the site from the street itself. It's a large open property with substantial native vegetation. The parcel has significant depth, next slide please, of roughly 600 feet on its longest sides. And you can see a clear natural buffer. This is the existing state of the parcel. There's an existing home right here on the right, and this is looking northwest into the parcel from the southeast portion of the site. This is a sprawling rural property well suited for a low intensity use we are proposing. Now the site's regional location is a key factor in its suitability for an event venue. Next slide, please. And this further highlights the depth of the site. Any events, any sort of activity will be on the north portion of the site in the north center. We have several site plans which we'll be showing you, which really highlight how far away, how tucked away the requested uses are from, first and foremost, the street and other uses around us, as well as the residences to the south. Next slide, please. So this map highlights our proximity to the Phoenix International Raceway. The Phoenix International Raceway will host up to 150,000 to 200,000 people in a given weekend. There are events such as Decadence on New Year's Eve that run as late as 3 to 4 in the morning. We are, of course, are not requesting things like that, Madam Chair, but we do believe it creates sort of a precedent. It creates an infrastructure that allows a small reservation-only type event venue to be established here so long as we can mitigate any sort of impacts to the neighbors to the south. Now let's turn to the specifics of the site plan and our existing infrastructure. Next slide, please. So the site is already well equipped for our proposed use. The applicant resides in the main house on the site, providing 24/7 on-site management. The core of the event infrastructure is a 1,600 square foot open-sided gazebo in which we are hoping to have events such as quinceañeras, weddings, small religious events, things like that. There's an existing 7,000 square foot patio, permanent restrooms which exist on septic, and a critical feature here is the site's topography itself. So the site slopes downward roughly 10 to 12 feet from the southern portion of the site to the northern portion of the site as it flows naturally down to Gila River. There is dense natural vegetation which is already existing itself. The access is proposed by 2 wide U-shaped driveways in which we have 88 parking spaces planned itself. Everything is already dust controlled. As Vice Chair Hernandez mentioned, sometimes these event venues come in as a violation. Unfortunately, we are one of those people, but if you notice, our case number is 240001. We have been in discussions and negotiations with both the neighbors as well as county staff for nearly 2 years now, and we believe what we're finally requesting is a happy medium here. Next slide, please. So this shows the very dense, substantial vegetation on the site. If you look at where that red dot is in the center of the site itself, that's roughly where most of the proposed uses will be, tucked roughly 300 feet north of the southern property line. Next slide, please. This is an aerial, and I'm going to show you how the proposed site plan tucks neatly into the site itself. Next slide. And again, thank you so much for driving the bus here. I appreciate you. And one more slide again. So this is the site plan itself. You can see the U-shaped driveway provides a smooth ingress-egress onto West Indian Springs Road. The 88 parking spaces are located on the northeast portion of the site to not inundate the southern portion of the site or to have heavy traffic showing from the road frontage. We have the gazebo, the patio, and all of the uses are situated on the northern portion of the site. Now, one of the things we amended recently, Honorable Chair, is if you look in the center of the site, just a little north, you can see that green U-shaped feature. So what we have proposed to address some of the neighborhood concerns is a 10-foot sound wall that will be U-shaped. On top of that, we are proposing 10 trees to be planted in a U-shape as well to push noise north. Our goal is not to upset the neighbors to the south. We understand there's substantial opposition here. We believe most of those concerns were from 2024 when this originally came about. I was brought in here by Juan Bravo Villanueva and his family to help mitigate some of the impacts of the site, and I think we've been working very efficiently with county staff to make sure that we do not impact any neighbors to the south. Next slide, please. And this is the final site plan. As you can see here, everything will be tucked to the north. Next slide, please. So I'd like to talk a little bit about my client, Juan Bravo Villanueva. He will be living on the site, and he's not just a property owner. He is a longtime resident who lives on the land itself. He and his small family are from Mexico, right on the Pacific coast, where outdoor gatherings, quinceañeras, weddings, religious events, and outdoor activities are at the heart of the community life here. So this is not just a business, this is a passion project that he is hoping to do this with his family. His daughters were just here. Unfortunately, they had to scoot off to work. So we appreciate his family being here. And to realize this vision, we are requesting a 10-year special use permit, which provides operational abilities, checks and balances. And we understand that we have the neighborhood that will keep us in check. We understand that the stipulations we will have today will be monitored by those who are living and residing in the neighborhood. So we're not trying to get away with everything, with anything at all. Our goal here is to ensure that this tucks in neatly with the community. Next slide. So as I mentioned, we would like to be transparent about the history of this project. The original application was filed in June 2024 after a violation. My client signed then a compliance agreement in May 2025 and retained Greenman Law Firm shortly after that to proactively and properly entitle this. So unfortunately, this did come in originally as a violation. I'd like to discuss the scope and scale. And I think one of the things that's really important here is discussing how much this site has changed over the last 2 years. And we've been working with the county to ensure that we've minimized our impact here. Next slide, please. So after all the community feedback and response to staff and community's concerns, we have a request here to permit a private reservation-only rural event venue that functions for weddings, religious events, quinceañeras. We've removed all high-intensity uses. There were rodeos at one point, there were horse shows at one point, and large-scale concerts. They have all been removed from this request. We are also proposing a light amend to specific operational hours, which we will discuss shortly, including a proposal to remain closed on Mondays as a gesture of goodwill to the neighborhood. I would like to point out that this will not be used every single day of the week. The site already features high-quality permanent improvements, which I'd like to show you now. Next slide, please. So this is the site itself. We have existing improvements. The site has extensive paved patio areas, decorative lighting, and well-maintained landscape. This is not an undeveloped piece of land, which is a dirt lot. This has been inspected by the county several times. We understand that this is ADA compliant. Our goal here is to create a beautiful venue that does not impact the neighbors, and it's supposed to be elegant. It's supposed to be here for weddings, quinceañeras, and culturally relevant events for families. Next slide, please. And this is just another one that shows one of the entryways in which people will walk in on. It is ADA compliant. Next slide, please. And this is the sound wall to the left here, which will push noise to the north into Gila River, and it will not push noise up the hill to the mountains to our south. And next slide. Our goal here is to create an event venue which will be private and for reservation only. For food, guests can choose to cater or to honor cultural traditions, bring their own food under a strict pack-in, pack-out model. So our goal is to keep this pristine. Our goal is to make sure that we do not disrupt any of the environmental concerns, especially with the Gila River directly to our north. Alcohol will be managed on a BYOB or a bartender basis. We will have on-site bartenders checking IDs. We will have on-site security at all events, and we will enforce a low-speed, strict limit of anyone using the driveway itself. Next slide, please. So the proposal is not only compatible with the immediate neighborhood, but also aligns with the county's vision in the 2030 plan. Several aspects of this request falls under the land use and efficiency model, the environmental stewardship model, economic growth for a small business owned by a family, and of course the fiscal responsibility by utilizing an existing developed site without burdening public infrastructure. Furthermore, our proposal meets all the specific standards for environmental or for event venues in the zoning ordinance. Next slide, please. Under section 1001.1.10, I won't say that again. There are specific standards which must be adhered to for special event venues. Without rattling all of these through, we adhere to every single one of them. There are specific sizes, there is specific dust-proof parking. We agree to provide access for code enforcement for any sort of on-site inspections. Next slide, please. And one more slide again. Thank you so much. So one of the things that really makes this site unique and helps mitigate the impact to neighbors to the south is the natural topography of the site. This exhibit shows from next slide, please. So this exhibit shows our natural grade. So the site on the southernmost portion sits at 936 feet of elevation. As you go north to the northern property line, you sit at 924. So at the street, you go down roughly 12 feet to the back of the property. And that's extremely important because it helps mitigate sound, mitigate light. Of course, we've done a photometric plan, and we have ensured that we will have zero candle light in all corners of the property exiting the property itself. We've also done a traffic impact statement, which was approved by MCDOT and the city of Avondale, and it confirmed that the existing road network is more than sufficient to handle limited traffic for roughly 176 people. Most of the dedications, most of the improvements have been done as we have the Phoenix Raceway to the immediate east, which hosts up to 40,000 people per day. So we believe that has lent itself to mitigate the impact of some of the site improvements and infrastructure improvements which are already in place. Next slide. So the effect from the road here, when you talk about the topographical nature of this, is striking. So from the road, this is a Google Streets view. This is the frontage of the property. And as you can clearly see, there is a tilt downward toward Gila River. You cannot see anything in the property. There are buildings behind that. There are structures behind that, and you clearly cannot see them because of the dense vegetation and because of the slope itself. Next slide, please. One of the things we'd like to ensure to not upset the community is noise control. Any music will be tucked around that 10-foot shield and directed north, away from any residences to the south. We've added that screen wall, and the goal here is to direct sound to the north to the river itself and not upset any homes to the south. When it comes to lighting control, I'd already mentioned our photometric plan, which I'll show you shortly. Our goal is to have fully shielded fixtures, bollard lights, which remain very close to the ground to light our walkways themselves. Next slide. This is the proposed sound wall, which we've worked with county staff to show noise will go to the north, not to the south. Next slide again. And that, of course, is the sound wall on the left. Next slide. This is the proposed and approved photometric plan. As you can see, we will be using lights that have shades on the top and low bollards to prevent any sort of light spilling out to our neighbors. So next slide, please. I'd like to address some of the modifications we're requesting to the proposed staff stipulations. We believe they're reasonable and necessary here for the viable operation of the venue itself. The first is a bit of a bookkeeping issue. Stipulation A was regarding the original site plan we submitted maybe 4 months ago. Our new site plan just has that 10-foot wall as well as the increased trees that create a U-shaped parcel or a U-shaped small area to help push any sort of sound to the north. So we are requesting that we change that stipulation to today's stamped site plan. Next slide, please. So the next request is regarding modification of hours of operation. Staff has proposed a shutdown time of 10 p.m. on weekdays, or I apologize, 8 p.m. on weekdays and 10 p.m. on weekends. We are requesting a modification to allow events to run until 10 p.m. on weeknights and midnight until Fridays and Saturdays. The rationale, we believe, is fairly straightforward. Cultural events such as quinceañeras and weddings traditionally run a bit later into the evening. A 10 p.m. cutoff on a Saturday night curtails these celebrations typically at their peak. Given our extensive noise mitigation, the topographical nature of the site, of course, the Phoenix Raceway, which sits just a half mile to our east or so, we believe the trees, the new wall, will help mitigate the operating impact here. As anyone who's been to a wedding, sometimes people usually clear out by right around 9:30. The events are much smaller coming into 10 p.m. And again, our goal is to have on-site security. We'll have potentially noise mitigation expert if the county requests it, to make sure we will not have any noise spillage to the south. That being said, as a gesture of compromise, we have offered to remain closed entirely on Mondays. And of course, anyone who's been to a wedding knows event attendance naturally decreases into the night itself. Another amend we are requesting here is the lighting. We are requesting a 1-hour buffer from when the event closes to when the lights may shut off. This is for public safety. This is for cleanup. Again, music will not be going off during this time. This is to help people get out of the property safely. Next slide. This shows how far away we are from neighbors to the south. This is the parcel shown in orange here. We have roughly a 600-foot buffer from any sort of area of this property, which we will have events, maybe some dancing, maybe a quinceañera will occur right there. We're roughly 600 linear feet away across a major collector road to the neighbors to the south. And of course, we have the Phoenix Raceway parking, roughly one parcel to the east of us. Next slide. And I'd already mentioned the request to modify the stipulation of lighting itself. We are requesting a 1-hour buffer from whenever we are closed. And again, this is purely for public safety and operational necessity here. Next slide. And one more slide again. So throughout this process, I think it's really important here that we talk about neighborhood feedback. We do understand that there is substantial opposition. I believe most of that opposition occurred in 2024 and 2025. Our goal here was to engage with the neighbors, to understand most of their concerns were about noise, were about traffic and hours of operation. We've listened. We've added the noise wall. We've scaled back the intensity of the venue. I'm going to show you a quick site plan evolution from where we started to where we are, and to show you how much we've given back. And again, our goal is not to, put something here that will not work. Our goal is to minimize our own impact while still adhering to operational standards of something typical for a wedding or quinceañera venue. Next slide, please. This is the original site plan. It is somewhat difficult to see. This was submitted in roughly April of 2024. This was huge. The top left here in the northwest corner, there was a rodeo ring that was going to be used for shows, for concerts. There is a massive parking element to the southwest here. Next slide, please. In a blink of an eye, all that's gone, and we had the extra parking on the northwest portion of the site. Next slide, please. That parking was removed to help create more open space and to give it more of a rural feel and to mitigate the impact on the neighbors itself. Next slide, please, and this is the final slide. So after discussion with neighbors, after discussion with county staff, we've added that small ring, that U-shaped ring to help push noise to the north. As you can see, we have support from many neighbors on the next slide that shows how many people and individuals and organizations have expressed support. We just had 16 more letters of support that were sent in yesterday. Unfortunately, they did not make it out of the memo, but I know they were sent to Andrew, who's been wonderful to work with. Next slide. This is an operational map that shows those in support. And if you notice, many of those who are directly next to this venue are in support. Importantly, the neighbor to the direct north, who owns 150 acres of adjacent property, our neighbors to the southeast, directly southeast, east, and then further east. Any portion of the parcels to the west are vacant, roughly 1,000 feet before you hit the next residence itself. And of course, as you can see, you have Phoenix Raceway to the east. Next slide, please. Thank you so much. And I appreciate you didn't ask time, because I was thinking 20 minutes and I don't want to say it out loud. So hopefully I'm close to that.
Close.
Lovely. Perfect. Okay, perfect. One more slide. So to conclude here, Rancho Bravo is a family-owned, low-intensity venue that perfectly fits the character area of this neighborhood. We have come a long way here. We've proposed reasonable and necessary adjustments to ensure the neighborhood compatibility and the operational viability of a small reservation-only event that will be run by a small family here. So we respectfully request the commission recommend approval of SU 240001 to the Board of Supervisors with the requested modifications to the conditions, including the site plan, the hours of operation, and the lighting. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners have any comments or questions at this time? Nope. Then we'll go to public comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. D'Amato. And following Mr. John D'Amato, we'll have Kurt Matthews, and please state your name for the record. All speakers have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, Lady Chairman and the board. I appreciate you giving us this time to talk about Rancho Bravo. Now, you've seen all the stuff that I've just seen. A lot of that is new to me because I never get updated. Nobody sends any updates. The county says, we're going to send you a postcard that says we're having a meeting. We're only sending it to 300 feet from the property. Well, you already showed that I'm 600 feet from the property. So nobody gets your card. Okay. And if any of you, let's go on to the next point, noise. Okay. Mariachi. I have nothing against it. It's pretty great music, but not when it goes at 2 or 3 in the morning. Okay. And I live, that they don't show you on that map, across from his driveway to get in. And another neighbor of mine lives on his driveway to get out. Okay. I don't know how you're going to handle that noise, because as soon as that noise comes, I'm going to be on the phone to 911 as soon as it breaks a decimal level. I've submitted photos, I've submitted videos, so you can see what it's like with the cars coming in, the cars coming out, the traffic, the cars squealing. What's going to happen when we start having accidents? Well, hey, even worse, gunfire. Okay? Now, gunfire, let's bring that up. There's a lot of gunfire behind the north section. Okay? Sheriff has been there for many years trying to get the shooters out of there. They're not doing nothing. This is not needed in our neighborhood. I understand what he wants to do, and I can agree with that if it was in a different area and it's not next to my house. Okay? I don't know what you can do about it. The only thing I would say is deny the application. That's all I can say to you people. It's a government. I'm an individual. I know what happens. I have nothing. The government does what they want anyway. All right. So good luck, and let's put this to bed and get rid of it. Okay. Or modify it much more than it is. I see the 300 car parking is gone. I don't know what that's up to now. I see the rodeo is gone, because I was going to say, why do we need 2 rodeos? One up the block at the top of the hill and one down here. You guys figure it out. Let me know.
Thank you, Mr. D'Amato. Next, we'll have Kurt Matthews, followed by Gary Geiger.
Hello and thank you. My name is Kurt Matthews. I'm here to support the Bravo event venue. I just want to say a couple words. Is basically, I moved out here 21 years ago, moved out to Goodyear from the Midwest. And when we first moved out here, we wanted to have a party for my wife's 50th birthday. And we found that there was no venues in the west side to have this at. So we looked around and we ended up having it in Scottsdale. So now here it is 20 years later. Now our daughter's going to get married. And now we want to have all our family from around the country come in and have a place to stay. But this time we want to see if we can find something on the west side. And here we have something, you know, possibly here to do it. And that would be great. You know, they have the family close by and get to experience the west side and basically be more convenient for everybody. But we would also feel it would be good for the local economy around here. The hotels that are usually, you know, semi-dormant during, you know, the middle of the season when NASCAR and stuff's not there, they're going to have some, you know, stimulant for that, and the local businesses, restaurants and all that would, I think, you know, basically, I can't figure out the word, but, you know, approve of this and, you know, I don't know, I'm a little nervous up here, so, but now, but basically, I just want to say I approve it, and I think it's a great idea to have something on the west side. And that's it. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Mr. Gary Guider, followed by Tony D'Amato.
Yeah, my name's Gary Guider. Juan and I have known each other since he bought the property. He lives right across the street from me. I have nothing against you, Juan. I do have I'm not for his project that he's building down there. The noise goes on till 2 or 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Juan's even to come over to my house and personally apologize for the excessive noise. He did go ahead and build his second exit, which you saw, which comes out. And if you pull out of it, you'll go directly into my driveway. That was built without a permit. It was not built by code. He is not a longtime resident of our neighborhood. He bought the property, I believe, in 2020, was not a full-time resident until probably the last year or two. I don't know exactly when he moved in there, but I don't believe you should give him a permit. I don't believe he'll stay in the time zones that, you know, you've established. And I just don't think it's a good idea. Most of our neighbors do not want it in there. And I just don't think that he'll stay to the designations that he says he's going to. And I don't believe this little sound wall that he put up is going to keep the noise down. So you guys make the decision. It's up to you. It's in your court. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony D'Amato, followed by Eric Niemeyer.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board, and members of the board. My name is Tony D'Amato, and I am a nearby resident. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I am here to respectfully ask that you deny the special use permit for Rancho Bravo to operate as an event venue, hosting rodeos, large parties, and similar gatherings in our rural residential area. The events that have already taken place have been extremely loud. Because of the open desert landscape, the sound travels far, bouncing off the mountains and echoes back into the neighborhood. The noise has continued until 2 and even 3 in the morning. Families cannot sleep. Children cannot sleep. The level of noise and amplifications is so intense at times that it causes physical discomfort. The property backs up to a wildlife preserve. The excessive noise and activity disturb the wildlife and push animals out of the area. Many of us chose to live here because of the quiet and the open space and the opportunity to enjoy nature. Residents here own parcels ranging from 1.5 acres to 20 acres and more. We invested in this community for peace and serenity, not commercial entertainment. There are also safety concerns. Our road is used regularly by bicyclists, organized cycling groups, and neighbors walking to exercise. Large events increase traffic, create congestion, and pose risk to pedestrians and cyclists. There is already a racetrack down the road. Adding another high-traffic venue compounds the problem. This is rural residential land. Commercial event venues belong in properly zoned commercial areas where infrastructure and buffering are designed for the level of activity. We are not opposed to someone enjoying their property. We are opposed to ongoing commercial events that negatively impact surrounding homeowners and wildlife. I respectfully ask you to protect the character of our community and deny the special use permit. I am hoping that all the letters, 50 community residents have denied this request and do not like this idea because of the noise and problems that it has come about. I want to thank you for the time and consideration for listening to me and my concerns. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you for coming down. Eric Niemeyer, followed by Dallas Gangstead.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the commission. My name is Eric Niemeyer. I live at 13415 West South Mountain Road, which is in the community just south of the proposed venue. And I am a business consultant with 20 years of investigative experience and extensive real estate knowledge. I do not know Mr. Bravo other than the time that I spent last week reviewing his paperwork and going down to his property. And so I've just spoken with him twice and been on his property once. I'm not being compensated for my opinion. My opinion is that the measures to impact noise abatement have been positive. And also one of the things that I don't think has been highlighted by his counsel is that where you look at the roadway, he did mention that you can't see down below, but it is as much as 15 feet down below. And there's 100 to 150 mature trees down there, which have a natural ability to absorb sound. The road today, I'm going to go home and there's going to be maybe 100,000 people a mile from my house. And that road, he showed it where it was a 2-lane road, but actually Phoenix International Raceway, when they're doing their ingress and egress of those 200,000, up to 200,000 people, that road will accommodate the egress of all those people within a 3 to 4 hour period. So I don't think the traffic or there's any safety concerns there. I believe that this should be approved. I think it's reasonable. And that's what I've got to say, pending questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. And Dallas Gangstead is the final in-person speaker.
Morning, Commission. I'm Dallas Gangstead. I'm related to Juan through marriage. And here in support, I've been to several, been to that facility several occasions for parties, quinceaneras and whatnot. And when you're on, I forget the name of the highway, but when you're on that road, you cannot, if you didn't know where it was, you cannot see that from the highway. It is that far down and back. And then I'd say it's a good block or more north of the highway. So it's very hidden. And like several people have said, there's plenty of trees and sound barriers down there. If you want to have an event and you don't want to have it inside, you want to have an outside one, there's very few. It serves Buckeye, Avondale, Goodyear. It's an excellent place to have an outside venue that there's very few of in that area. A lot of the complaints were about the hours, and I've noticed that they've conceded the cutback on those. And I questioned the 50 letters of noise complaints because there's not 50 people that live in that close to them. You know, there may be a couple, but I'm here in support. We've had lots of good parties there. I don't recall the noise ever getting that crazy or that loud, and I hope it can continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any speakers online?
No speakers online.
Speakers online. All right. Would the applicant like to come back?
Madam Chair, if I may, my client has informed me that there are several more people here that are in support, but because they were at work or something similar, they didn't have time to fill out these cards before the hearing. Are we able to extend the public comment to allow a few more people to speak, Madam Chair?
I will let you decide because we may lose our quorum at noon.
Understood.
So I'm happy to let them speak, but it means that we depending on how long the deliberation goes, we may lose our quorum. If they'd like to raise their hand to demonstrate, okay.
I was thinking that, Madam Chair. People to my left, who is here in support of this, who has come from work, come from the neighborhood?
All right, and if you could still fill out a card, because if you fill out a card, it says wish to speak or do not wish to speak, they could fill out a card to demonstrate their support and just indicate that you do not wish to speak.
Thank you,
That way
Madam
we have
Chair.
that on the record. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for the heads up on that, Madam Chair. I apologize for taking so long.
No worries, I just learned it myself a few minutes ago.
Madam Chair, let the record reflect that there are probably 10 more people here in support. I understand they will be submitting those as well, but I remain open for questions if I may first and foremost address the public comment. Is that okay,
Certainly,
Madam Chair?
yes.
So I'd like to thank Mr. and Mrs. D'Amato for coming, as well as Mr. Glider. There were concerns about noise and traffic and operations going up into 2 to 3 in the morning. I would like to make it clear to those in opposition as well as the board, when you stipulate to midnight, when you stipulate to a specific hour of operation, we understand that the stipulation is a check and balance of us. We understand that if we violate, we have neighbors ready to report this, ready to call this in. And if this gets reported 2 or 3 times, this special use permit will be rescinded. And we fully understand that. My client fully understands that. Mr. D'Amato had mentioned the removal of the rodeo. We believe the removal of the rodeo is a wonderful thing. We only have 88 cars proposed. The gentleman, Eric, I believe, just spoke that there are 10,000 cars coming in and out of the Phoenix Raceway on the weekends. We're proposing 88 cars. We believe that our minimal traffic that will exist between 6 p.m. and maybe midnight will not inundate the roads. It will not inundate the infrastructure. And of course, the infrastructure is already in place as a major collector road. We've added the noise wall. We're willing to stipulate to the noise. There was some discussion about gunfire. It is a very large area up there. I can assure the board that my client does not allow guns or gunfire on the property itself. So we understand the concerns. We appreciate the concerns. We know that many of the concerns were from 2024, even 2025. Our understanding of this is that the stipulation for whatever this board chooses will keep us in check. We understand that this can be removed, this can be rescinded, and my client can lose all of this in a day. So our formal request is to extend Fridays and Saturdays to midnight, as well as a 1-hour buffer of lighting for operational safety so we can close. That being said, I am open for comments, feedback, concerns at any time, Madam Chair, Honorable Board.
Thank you. Commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Finter.
Realize we're under time constraints. I remember when we had the wedding venue in Gilbert come through, and they had a whole process of monitoring noise that involved decibels, the sheriff's office, different things. And I thought, wow, that's pretty innovative because they were concerned about the surrounding houses. Is that a standard that the county uses? It seemed very standard.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Finter, we previously, in the past, I know Superstition Manor at Signal Butte and Brown in the Northeast Mesa area had a condition of no noise may be measured higher than 65 decibels at any lot line, because that was the ambient level of background noise in the surrounding community. And that may have been somewhat similar, busier road, but somewhat similar in development patterns. It's my understanding, though, that there was a statute passed about 5 years ago that required any noise levels to be read by certain calibrated equipment by the sheriff's office or the police, which would prevent P&D code enforcement from enforcing specific decibel levels. Yeah. But we do have conditions in there about noise ordinance and the sheriff enforcement.
Oh, wonderful. I'm sorry I missed that. So that was my hope that we'd be able to address those concerns with that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And Madam Chair, I've been reminded that I believe you were talking about a facility out in the Gilbert area named White Barn, and they had implemented decibel readers. It's a bit larger of a facility, but they had implemented that due to the opposition in the immediate neighborhood. But that was not a staff enforcement issue. That was something they were doing on their own.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Folks online? All right. Yep. All right. So, go ahead.
Yeah. So I guess, I'm not really a big proponent of wedding venues, any kind of venue in, our area. I don't think it fits the zoning. Zoning does allow for certain types of cottage industries, and I do not believe that this falls into it. I think it's, can be a nuisance to the neighbors, and, I appreciate, the applicants adjusting hours and stuff, but, I can't get behind wedding venues inside of RE43 neighborhoods. So, I think the other one that, Finter was, talking about was indoors. So I think something like that might be a little more acceptable, but an outdoor event venue, I just can't support in a RE43 residential area. So.
You? Commissioner Finter.
I was just going to say, having lived in one or, the same circumstance, it's a nightmare for our neighborhood ongoing. This is in the city of Mesa. I've never seen people so mad about how loud. And so I get your reasoning for that. It's been really challenging for, big properties, big homes and loud noises. It's tough.
Any other comments from commissioners?
I know we're on a time crunch here, so with that, I will recommend denial of SU 240001 Rancho Bravo.
Do we have a second?
Second. Vice Chair, if I may.
Yes.
Madam Chair, if I may direct a question to Vice Chair. First and foremost, I'd like to point out that staff's recommendation was originally for approval with stipulations. On top of that, we have the natural topography, which helps push any noise to the north. We are also well situated to have several people in support of this, those who live immediately adjacent to the property. Would you not agree that those would be indicative of at least approval to stipulations recommended by the county, Vice Chair?
I do not. Like I said, I think if this were an indoor venue, maybe, but, I do live in a rural area as well. Sound does carry out there. I don't think that this is an appropriate location for a wedding venue. I think it's better than some other cases that we've seen in the past, but I don't think that this is what the intent of an RU43 zoning is for. So, and yes, there is a lot of support. There is also a lot of opposition, people who live directly, there. So,
understood, Vice Chair.
All right, we have a motion by Vice Chair Fernandez and a second by Commissioner Rockwallick.
Commissioner Finter,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hernandez,
yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Yes.
Chair Milhaven,
Yes.
Commissioner Rockwallick,
Yes.
Commissioner Toma,
He has indicated he votes yes to deny.
okay, thank you. Commissioner Whitney.
Yes.
Chair, we have a motion for denial by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, we'll move on to, do we have time to hear the next item?
Yes, and Madam Chair, I'll say for the record that that case with the recommendation from the Commission for denial does proceed to the April 8th Board of
Board of
Supervisors hearing.
Supervisors meeting. Okay. We have Commissioner Lindblom said he can join at 12:30.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if it helps keep things moving, I will try and move my hard conflict to 12:30 instead of noon.
Is that, do we need Commissioner Whitney to do that?
We still have Commissioner Toma on, so that gives us 6, and that's the quorum. is 6.
Okay, so Commissioner Whitney, we're okay. Commissioner Toma, can you stick with us?
Right, but we need all of them we have 7. Yes. And Commissioner Toma indicated he would stick with us.
Okay, sounds like you're good to go, Mr. Whitney.
Okay.
If you need. Thank you.
I'll stay as long as I can.
I appreciate that. Okay, so we will carry on. We'll move on to item 7, SU 250009, Moreland Backyard Rentals.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the commission. Agenda item 7, SU 259, which is a request for a special use permit for an outdoor event venue at 18401 Westmoreland Street on a county island near Goodyear. The applicant is requesting approval to operate the event venue. Next slide. The subject property is a 1-acre residential lot within Quintana Estates, an established subdivision platted for single-family homes. The site is accessed via local residential streets not designed for commercial event traffic. The updated zoning ordinance now requires a 3-acre minimum for outdoor event venues, specifically to address compatibility issues like this. While this application was submitted before that standard took effect, it should be noted that if the application were to continue until July, that the application itself would become moot and that a new rezone to C3 would be required to effectuate site operations. Next slide. The property owner was first cited in early 2024 for operating an event venue without proper zoning entitlement. That violation was closed in May of 2025 after the owner represented that operations had ceased. By September of 2025, staff received new complaints confirming that events had resumed. As of the staff report and as of this morning, the venue continues to advertise publicly. In addition to the unpermitted use, there are multiple unpermitted structures on site, including a shed converted to a bridal suite, a garage addition that exceeds maximum lot coverage, and a 12-foot fence where 8 feet is the maximum allowed. A second violation was opened in November 2025 specifically for that fence. In the event this application is to be approved, the owner would need to have those structures permitted prior to legally restarting operations. Next slide. Staff also notes the material discrepancies between the application and actual operations. The narrative indicates weekend-only hours from noon to 11 p.m. with 75 guests maximum, no amplified music, and all parking on site. Staff found evidence of listings which advertise operations from 6 a.m. to midnight, accommodating up to 200 guests with street parking and with language that the hosts are, quote, pretty flexible with no real rules. Since January 2024, the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office has responded to this address 53 times. 42 of those calls were disturbing the peace. 68% of those calls were received between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. The nearest Sheriff's Office station is approximately 12 miles away with an average 16-minute response time. Finally, staff would note that the supermajority requirement has been triggered, which requires the majority of the board to approve this item if it reaches the board level. And so for those reasons, staff has recommended commission recommend a recommendation of denial to the Board of Supervisors. This time, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to speak?
Thank you, board. I have PowerPoint. Appreciate your comments from the last case, so I'll keep it as brief as I can in looking at everything. But this is the site for Moreland Backyard Events. Next slide. So you can see where it is here. It is just south of the Interstate 10 area and just south also the Luke Air Force Base area. You can actually see Interstate 10 in the next slide from this property because there is no sound wall. We are directly next to the Interstate 10. As you zoom in, so you can see to the north, to the west, there's some industrial going on, and there's actually industrial planned in Goodyear to the south as well. That's on that vacant piece. To the next slide. And you're just zooming in more and more. One thing I want to make a point of on this project is this area is slowly transitioning. There's a lot of home occupations going on that are not inside the homes. There's a lot of businesses conducting operations in this area. It's very close to freeway access, new industrial commercial areas. It is very much transitioning. There's a lot of vacant properties that there's a single landowner that owns holding on to, not for purpose, but there's homes in the area which people will be at for, I'm sure, a very long time. I actually entitled a case across the street for an RC racetrack that was approved that's operating. So people are definitely using this site for more commercial type uses on their own. Actually, even that truck storage property that's actually in the city of Goodyear has not been entitled, but it is also used for truck storage on site. And so you're seeing a lot of this transition. Next slide. Here you can see the Maricopa County White Takes land use plan, single family rural residential, but you're also seeing the Luke Air Force Base contours coming in there. And then you see the Goodyear land use plan as well. You can see that it has scenic neighborhood for the area, but directly surrounding the entire community is business and commerce, because that is what is PADs for that. Next. And again, the next one is the zoning. So you can see the zoning that you have the rural 43 kind of being like one of those islands you're seeing a lot of times within jurisdictions. It's just gets surrounded by commerce and industry as it's becoming more dense. And then you can also see the Goodyear general plan. It has the PAD, which I have on here, and I contacted the town. It's PAD for business park, light industrial, and commercial. So they are envisioning it transitioning as well. Next slide. Here is the site plan for the project. They live on site. That's the existing house. It's to allow the property for the existing backyard to outdoor event venue on weekends, looking at Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. Requesting for events to go in from noon until 10 o'clock with a maximum of 75 people. And with that, they've also, working with neighbors, unfortunately, as most things happen, this was a code violation case as well. People don't realize you can't have parties in your backyard despite all the ads and websites that allow you to rent them out. They should probably put a caveat on there, like, please seek your municipal authority first. But they have dealt with some of the things when neighbors were complaining about things. So they put it, that's where the 12-foot screening came in. They put ficus trees in. They have security cameras, which we'll show you. They have a decibel reader. They've tried to accommodate kind of things to appease the neighbors through this process. And they agree to all of the stipulations that staff has put in your packet, except for one they would request, but it's up to your, obviously, discretion if you so choose to move forward, is that the no amplified music or speakers, because they do have a decibel reader on site, and they do have an agreement in place with the neighbor to the south as to the decibel reader that they are acceptable of. And so that's what they've been operating under. However, it's obviously up to your discretion if you wanted to adjust that. Next slide. Here's the neighborhood meeting we had. This is, we had neighbors in support and against. You can see the walls on site. We showed them the exact layout, what you're looking at. They saw the venue itself. You can see everybody who signed in. Next slide. Just going to be honest, this is a very, unfortunately, neighbor versus neighbor hostile environment going on. There's been a lot of fighting between the neighbors over the years. And so we had some pictures, and so they asked to be removed from the photos. That's why they're blacked out. And so there's a lot of, I think, issues regarding the calls. Next slide, please. There's been a lot of calls that have gone in. And so here you can see the fence. We actually had to put a no firearms on the door because we were being threatened with firearms, that they would bring them. And then we also have showing you the cameras up on there recording, and they record the property of the parking lot, the area, because there were complaints and saying that there was accidents and people were doing things to other people's property. There's been none of the calls have ever been justified. All the citations and calls that for the police department have been unfounded. Nothing was cited. It's almost to the point of just repetitive. And you can see the decibel reader there. We were on site kind of talking, and that's what it was. There were a couple times during the event that we had to halt talking because of the Air Force Base. You cannot hear when a plane flies over. It's very, very loud. So this is nowhere near that kind of level. But one of the options I was talking to them about was if you wanted to put a live reading of the decibel reader on the website so everybody can look at it in live time, because everybody says they churn it down the second it gets reported. I don't know how they would know, but there's all kinds of options. They're just trying to make it as much open communication as possible. Next slide. So here you can see again the wall and the screening, the setup. I've been informed the bridal casita was a pre-built shed, had no permanent water or electricity to it, but due to the issues, I've been informed that it was removed in September of 2025 because of the items. It was simply a place for someone to get final preparations before walking down the aisle. And then they just had like an electricity, at the time they just had a extension cord hooking up a light and some portable air conditioner. So. And then you can see the ficus trees are still growing, so they put up a little bit of a screening until at the time that those ficus trees fill in. Next one. And so approval, of this would be stipulated to those exact things: hours of operation, days of the week, lighting, noise, all those things. Could not expand the uses. They're restricting all on-site parking. Previously, they had tried to work a negotiation with someone across the street, and with discussion with staff, found out that was not an option. So remove that, so that they're also took it back from the 200 to the 75 max persons to accommodate the 42 lots parking spaces on site with ADA compliance. And as mentioned, the code has recently changed, but there were similar stories in the past of event venues on 1 acre lots being approved. I've been at several cases in the past few years as an audience member watching. And there's just some of them listed there. A couple of them are 1 acre, some are longer, some are larger. Some of them have even had the opportunity to provide the event venue space and then be remanded back because they had violations. And that's all I'm asking is that for my client, that they have the opportunity to try to show that they will meet these things. And if they don't, it gets removed. Like the last one they said, the neighbors are very interested to show that. So it's just the opportunity to follow the process of what you guys are stipulating to. Next slide. And so the timeline, again, it was in January 2024, backyard event venues with trailer storage. He has a commercial trailer that he was parking on site. So that got removed. That said history was removed. Began work with me in the summer of 2024. We had the pre-app meeting in July of 2024. Started putting together the SUP application. Have been working through it. Truck storage ceased and removed for commercial truck storage in May 05. Venue operation ceased in May 2025, but it sounds like they may have done some smaller events. I've seen a couple of pictures, they said, of some family events, a baby shower and a 50th anniversary. I'm not sure if it was them or not. But they request to keep the existing 12-foot fence to address the violation. That's a request in the SUP to keep for the security and the screening. And then Maricopa County Sheriff's received totally 53 calls and none resulted in any citations. They were not brought in for everything. Nothing was called. They had a disorderly conduct, which one of the neighbors filed against him. That was also dismissed. And in September, there was another one filed that's still under review. This is, like I mentioned, this is 24 signatures on the petition from actually only 11 properties. They also have 2 that I could not locate. They're actually not in the area. And then there's several emails which are from those same 11 properties. They also have a lot of neighbors in the community that are in support of it. Unfortunately, I know you can't, when it's neighbor issues, I like to keep it to the code. And so for the code purposes of planning approval, simply just following the code and processes and let the neighbors argue amongst themselves and deal with it once that the planning department could go in for code compliance or the sheriff's department can go in and see something. But so far, nothing has been founded by the sheriff's department. Next slide. So really, that's kind of what it is right now. I have other slides demonstrating other areas that are going in the neighborhood that are more commercial in nature that have been occurring. Driving through there was kind of eye-opening myself when I went to the neighborhood meeting. However, they can speak. I'm sure there's some people here that want to speak as well, which I can show those slides of the for and against opposition in the neighborhood later. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we move to public comment. We have Jessica Sarkisian. Oh. Okay. Dan Gardner. And then David Bandley. Okay, so Mr. Badley, please.
Guess it's good afternoon now. I appreciate you guys taking the time to hear from the neighborhood itself. I sent an email to talk to Mr. Joel just a little while ago. We've had problems with Ruben in general, the gentleman that owns a property that wants the special use permit. I'm not in the 300-foot range. I'm almost 850 feet away. And I have 2 autistic children. We have traffic that speeds down the road because of this venue. My children have been outside and they've been swerving. We have had loud music. We've reported. The sheriffs, sheriffs don't respond in time. So by the time they get there, the music's turned down. There's been an instance and 2 instances where I've called myself, followed the people that have sped by my house. And on one occasion, Mr. Rubin has taken his truck, which has a spotlight on it, and spotlighted me so that when the sheriff got there and saw me speaking to the sheriff, he kept the light on. And I'm like, what's going on? I followed the vehicle to see where exactly it went, called you guys to report the speeding vehicle, which vehicle it was, and he's spotlighting me. I know the sheriff said that he was speaking to him to turn the light off. I know that actually went through. I have a video that I sent through about a family member. We don't know at the time until the sheriffs looked at the video about them swerving towards my vehicle in daylight. I sent that video per Joel. I don't remember the gentleman's name. I'm not looking at my phone right now. But every time that we call the sheriff, their response is more than 15 minutes. It's more like 45 minutes to an hour because the sheriffs respond in process of what is more important. I do not want this venue in the area. It has been bringing drunks. It has been bringing people speeding down the dirt roads where there are no lights. It has brought people pulling around corners and hitting walls. It has pulled just the worst kind of neighborhood on those venue nights.
Thank you, Mr. Bentley.
Thank you.
Danny Gardiner and then Deborah Dennett.
So I live directly east of this property. And I'm not necessarily opposed to what he's trying to do now. It's how he started this. A friend of mine that was living with me had communication with Melissa, the primary event coordinator, after the first party. Informed her of the noise ordinance, informed her of code enforcement, informed her of the need to file a special use permit. It took them over a year to get it. He has absolutely no compassion for the neighborhood. He infringes on other people's rights. The parking lot that she was talking about that was directly across the street, he didn't have permission to use it. He developed it and we started renting trucks, spaces on it. After he was thrown off of that property, he went down the street to an ADOT property and started using it. No permission, they threw him off of that property. He put up this 12-foot wall. I can't even pull out of my back driveway without being able to see around the corner because this 12-foot wall blocks my view. I have insomnia. When he has parties until 3 a.m., I don't sleep and I can't get rest. It takes me 2 to 3 days to recover. The night my mom died, I was sitting by her bed watching the water on the table vibrate from his damn bass. That's the noise. Even when he turns it down, that bass is all over our house. It vibrates the windows, it vibrates our TVs. We don't sleep. My special needs brother has sensory issues. Every single time the cars start lining up, his comment, he comes in the house and says, the jerk of the world is having another party. That's his comment. He sits down on his bed, he walks back and forth, he holds his ears, he cries, he goes next door on the fence line and screams at them. This is what we've had to deal with for almost 2 years now. It took him over a year to apply. He doesn't have any consideration of anyone except his own money-making schemes. He doesn't even live on the damn property. He's there specifically to cause problems for us. And if you look at the opposition, there's 3 people that supposedly sent letters for him that have also sent letters recently opposing. All 3 of them said they did not sign his letter. So not only is he doing that, but he's forging signatures too. More than 50% of the people in the 300-foot radius oppose, and that should be saying something.
Thank you for coming down. Deborah Dennett.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having me. I would like to say that some of the things that Jessica said were not quite accurate. We've had the sheriffs in our home several times and have, it's beyond where you press charges because, and they, even the officers said that they could hear the music and the bass pounding in our home. As to the decibel reader that was put up recently, we have had access to it in the last 3 times that he has had a party there. The decibel reader has been in the rocks, so it's only shown rocks and no decibel levels, and we can still hear the music pounding in our home. A lot of the times that we've called the sheriff's office, as Dave said, they have responded to the call. However, by the time they get there, it's late, or, they say, do you want to call back? And I've finally gotten to sleep. It's now 3 or 4 in the morning, and I get woken up by the sheriff's office saying, well, it's quiet there now. Yes, it is quiet there now. Everybody's gone. The roads are dirt. It puts up an inordinate amount of dirt. I realize that people think this is transitioning. I've lived here for over 22 years. I was probably the third house on the property out there, and it's been quiet, and everyone's been respectful. I've known all my neighbors until recently. And so I would just request that the board deny this request for having a venue in our neighborhood. Thank you so much for hearing me.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a card from Ruben with no last name, and he did not indicate whether he wishes to speak. Oh, in case, okay. And then I have 2 more cards in opposition, but do not wish to speak. Do we have anybody online?
Madam Chair, yes, we do have 2 speakers online, and David's coordinating with them.
Yeah, the first speaker is Beth Keel. Beth, I have you unmuted if you can unmute your device. I also have Nathan Keel. Oh, go ahead, Beth.
They didn't want to go, so. So I am in opposition. I've prepared a brief letter I wanted to read. So good afternoon. My name is Beth Keel. I live near the property involved in case SU 25009 at 1840 West Moreland. I am here to respectfully urge the commission to deny this application. This case is not about the new proposal or a responsible operator seeking approval. It is about an applicant who has already been operating in an event venue in violation of county rules, even after a cease and desist order. Events have continued. When law enforcement arrives, they often are told the event is a family gathering or small party, while the same events are openly advertised online as multiple business names. These events regularly bring large crowds, loud amplified music, and unsafe traffic into the quiet residential area. Music and microphone announcements can be heard inside nearby homes hundreds of feet away. Guests parking along the streets, speeding through the neighborhood, and sometimes use or block neighboring private properties without any permission. This has created ongoing disturbance and disruptions and stress for residents, including families with young children, elderly neighbors, and individuals with special needs. It has also been required repeated calls to the sheriff's office, diverting law enforcement resources away from other community needs. Approving this application would effectively reward a pattern of noncompliance. The applicant has already shown a willingness to ignore county rules and the rights of neighboring property owners. For the sake of public safety, fairness, and integrity of the county regulations, I respectfully ask that you deny this application. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I also have Nathan Keel.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. Hey, thank you all for giving us the time to talk on this. I'm actually Beth's husband. We live in the southeast property there, 18332 West Latham Street. And I did want to go over and, I listened to his counsel there, and I want to also reiterate on the other neighbor speaking on, whatever with this neighborhood transitioning to a commercial state. I've lived here personally. I own the property. I lived here for almost 6 years. Nothing is transitioning here. In fact, it's quite the opposite. There's 4 houses going in parcels right near us. All have been residential. There's 3 of them are $1 million plus custom built homes on an acre. This is not the place where you do a wedding venue. I mean, this isn't 5 acres. This isn't 3 acres. This is 1 acre. And this is right across from our backyard. So I want to just reiterate everyone else's, I hear a lot of emotion and stress, and, I'm a pretty level-headed person, but I mean, even me at, 11 o'clock at night trying to work, I run a, pretty large size, company, and it is off-putting to say the least. It's ridiculous in fact. And to the other neighbor's point, the police, I don't know who made the comment where the sheriff's there within an average time of 16 minutes, or that is absolutely inaccurate. And whatever those numbers are, they are skewed to hell and gone. If they come out, and then that's if, it's definitely 45 minutes to an hour. We've even had officers tell my wife that the guy's using a police scanner, and he waits till the call comes in and he'll turn it down a bit. And then as soon as they leave, within 20 minutes, it goes right back up. The guy, again, the first person that you all heard, they're trying to do this the right way with the dog park, and they're doing everything by the book, and everyone had great empathy for that. And the fact that they're being good stewards of their neighborhood, their community, and, the rules and laws. And this particular person does not play by the rules. He came in and he just put up a venue, and he didn't care about any sort of ordinances. He didn't care about any laws. And he has tried to get around police. He's got around sheriffs. He's trying to get around the rules and around the laws, and the buck has to stop with you guys. It has to. I mean, it is absolutely, it's just asinine at the level that he has. And his decibel reader is, it's to be honest, quite frank, it's a clown show. It's absolutely crazy loud. The bass is insane. As far as we haven't noted a steady thing in the neighborhood, and she said no one's ever cited anything. I have a 4-foot hole in a $32,000 stone wall that I installed from a car going through it. So it's absolutely asinine to say that there's no impact to the community and all that stuff. There's definite impact. So that's, I just wanted to reiterate the fact that we're not dealing with a person who's trying to move into a commercial area, and he's just trying to use it and make money. That's not what's happening. We have this individual who has come into a absolutely residential place made up of acre lots that are transitioning to nothing but $1 million plus custom homes, and absolutely breaking everyone's laws. And the buck has to stop here. And that's what I have to say.
Thank you for calling in. Thank you.
Nobody else online.
Okay, that ends public comment. Would the applicant like to respond?
Yeah, if you can move to the next slide. So I just want to make a couple of clarification comments on this is the map I had referred you to. So there was some letters for and letters against. There are two, as they mentioned, that had a green and a red, because there was a letter originally for and then now a letter against. So it's kind of divided and stuff like that. Next slide. In this area is also there. These are the red dots are the known blatant commercial businesses going on, very blatant commercial, to the point where they've got semis, they've got work trucks. You can see at the top there's actually a restaurant. There's a couple of restaurants operating, and they're advertised as well. And you can see also in the top right picture there's people parking semis and RV storage. Next slide. You've got trailers. That's the top left picture is the directly I-10. That's what we're looking at from the driveway of this building. You've got storage. You've got the other buildings, which are apparently all residential. And then to the right, the next slide, you also have a lot of construction activity. These are parked. These are not his trucks. These are neighboring trucks. This area is not going to be $1 million plus homes all in here. This is not. You might have a couple that are doing that and hoping to improve the neighborhood, but this area is very much with the commercial and industrial area going and surrounding the entire community. This is what I'm seeing driving down the street, is these belly trucks and other construction trucks. And the next slide is also the same thing of more construction manufacturing. They've got people coming, there's people coming, and then I think there's one more slide even. There's businesses with employees, several dozen employees, or half a dozen at least, or more trucks. These are all operating in this neighborhood. This is not the quiet, serene neighborhood that everyone keeps talking about. This is directly, there's 6-foot chain link in the front yard with barbed wire, which is illegal. There's tons of stuff just going on that is not fitting with this. And this property, and this is just the noise decibel levels, The noise decibel level has been up since the neighborhood meeting and had continued to been up. That was in April of 2025. Nothing is new. There's no conspiracy of tracking police scanners and things like that. The reason that the timeline for police response has gone less and less is because every time they arrive, there's no, they go into their houses, and if initially there was complaints, they turn it down, they found a decibel level that now works. And then the other thing is that because there have been so many complaints to the point where he's worried, he's like, there's harassment going on, that he notified the police when there's events. I have an event scheduled this day, this day, this day. So they know when they're going to be receiving calls. So they should already be aware and ready to come on down. He's trying to make it blatantly obvious when things are going on. I understand the neighbors are upset. There's lots of different things between neighbors. But if you go back to the other slide that had the neighbors for and against, you can see that there's quite a good mix of who's for and against. And the neighbor across the street actually leased him out that property for parking until it was realized that the county said you couldn't do that. We actually had signatures of authorization from them to use their property for the application, which then didn't move forward because of issues that they were talking about. Couldn't have off-site parking. So, so there's just been a bunch of stuff. I'm sorry for taking up so much of your time. I know you guys are tired of hearing about event venues. So with that, I'm just, thank you.
Thank you. And no, we're not tired. of you. Commissioners, comments or questions?
I mean, I think you guys know how I feel. I would tend to agree that this area probably is in some sort of transition, but I still don't think that this is an appropriate use at this time. Maybe sometime down the road if there is more commercial in the area, but at this time I stand by my thoughts on venues.
Any other comments or questions? I'll entertain a motion. Yes.
It's his district.
Okay, I will stand with the county and recommend denial of SU 250009.
I'll second.
Motion to recommend denial by Vice Chair Fernandez and seconded by Commissioner Rockwall.
Commissioner Finter,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Yes.
Chair Milhaven,
Yes.
Commissioner Rockwall,
Yes.
Commissioner Toma,
Yes.
and I believe Commissioner Whitney left. Chair, we have a motion recommending denial by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you. Next item is item number 8Z250047 Hacienda Ranch.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thanks for sticking with us today. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. Case Z250047 is a request to rezone approximately 1,687 acres from CO, C1, C2, CS, R2, R3, R16, and Rural 43, all with a PAD overlay zone to IND2 IUPD for future industrial uses. The parcel is currently native undeveloped land, approximately 1 mile northwest of 339th Avenue and Indian School Road in the Buckeye area. The Hacienda Ranch Development Master Plan was originally approved in 2008 as a planned residential community for up to 5,707 homes and over 60 acres of associated commercial development. The plan was not developed due to regional water and sewer utility delivery infrastructure issues. On December 10th, 2025, the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors approved a major comprehensive plan amendment on the property, which modified the plan use designation from master plan to industrial. The applicant is requesting deviation from IND2 standards to meet modern industrial development practices, including height, setback, and parking reductions. The applicant has worked with nearby homeowners to increase wall height adjacent to residential and to add buffer zones for solar and solar exclusion zones nearby directly adjacent to existing residences. Staff recommends approval of the zone change request with updated conditions A through K in conformance with the current comprehensive plan designation on the parcel. At this time, I would be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll hear from the applicant.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. Wendy Riddell with the law firm Barry Riddell, 6750 East Camelback. I will do my best to be quick as I recognize I'm all that's standing between you and lunch. It's my pleasure to be here this afternoon on behalf of Arizona Land Consultants. Next slide, if you would. The site that we are talking about is 1,687 acres. We are out at 339th Avenue in the Tonopah area. Next slide. As staff noted, this site was entitled through both a development master plan and a zoning application. It was at one time intended to be a master plan community with nearly 6,000 homes, all of the ancillary commercial uses that you would have expected to go with that. Next slide, if you would. It was actually rezoned back in 2008. Remember 2008? Yeah. So it never came to fruition. So fast forward to where we are today. Next slide. This commission may recall we were before you not that long ago requesting that the comprehensive plan for this area be modified to industrial. That was unanimously approved also by the Board of Supervisors. Next slide. This request is to bring our zoning application now into conformance with that comprehensive plan of industrial. Next. This also is in conformance with some of the goals of the comp plan of achieving a balanced and efficient development patterns, contributing, of course, to the regional economy, providing infrastructure to the area that is much needed. Next. It is also consistent with the Tonopah Arlington area plan, again, talking about improving that infrastructure, bringing roadways out, providing employment opportunities, as well as appropriate screening of industrial uses. I'm going to touch on that more here in a minute. Next. What we are proposing is also very compatible with the change that is occurring in the area. You can see at one point that Belmont master plan was also intended to be a residential master plan community that has now converted to industrial. There is a mix now of both heavy and light industrial in this area, really shifting to employment uses. Next slide. It's also important to point out immediately to our east is an existing sand and gravel operation. That's not part of our application. That, of course, is exempt from zoning in Maricopa County. So we're kind of snuggled between that sand and gravel operation and then all of the industrial you see planned for the Belmont area. Next. And then just furthering that, fairly recently here in January, there was a spot that was approved for Belmont, actually to Industrial 3, even more intense than what we are here requesting today. Next. So we have done pretty extensive community engagement as part of this application. We were fortunate to work with Tom Bilstein. He has been out there. We have been meeting with the neighbors. We did door-to-door outreach. We had a neighborhood meeting. And then we've continued to have, luckily, a pretty fruitful dialogue with some of those neighbors. Next slide. Some of the things that we learned through that dialogue that are important to them and are part of this application is that the primary access way is coming in off of 339th Avenue, so really to the west of the area where they live. So they get the benefit of the infrastructure being improved out there, but not directed through their, in particular, residential neighborhood where that star is. Next slide, if you would. We also spent a great deal of time talking with them about buffer zones. So in particular, what that area behind their home would be. And we're actually preserving an area or dictating an area of roughly 22 acres that will be used as a buffer zone. Now, a portion of that will be a roadway alignment, but you'll also see there that we have limited permitted uses. We have enhanced design standards, preservation of desert landscaping. Next slide, if you would. So in particular, we talk about the first 150 feet that you won't have any structures, no parking, no storage, and that we will use that native landscaping. Next slide. And then you get into that buffer zone deeper than that. Again, we limited what uses could go there. No outdoor storage. We limited the maximum height to 32 feet. Again, we have enhanced design standards, working with those immediately adjacent, those 4 homes that abut the property that really had the potential to be impacted by this application. Next slide. So buffer zone 2, I mean, this is high level because the uses are extensive, but this is the uses that we restricted that are permitted to much more acceptable to them. Next slide. We, of course, also restricted uses. So we created an additional buffer zone that will actually be a solar exclusion zone. So for 500 feet around their house, there can be no solar uses. We agreed to no wind generation occurring on site. And then again, restricted in that area, outdoor storage, unless on the back side of the building. Talked about the walls, worked through all of these details. Next slide. Again, the enhanced design standards, talking about what those buildings would look like to give them some comfort. Next. So as a result of all of these additional commitments, you can see the additional stipulations that we proposed regarding the half width of Bethany Home Road, regarding outdoor lighting that shall comply with Maricopa County's ordinance, the restrictions I talked about, solar generation, wind generation, because those are included as proposed stipulations. That's why you have this last minute memorandum. Next. You will see that we're fortunate to have letters of support from those 4 neighbors that were here when we originally processed that comp plan amendment and whose homes actually abut the property. Next. We also worked with Mr. Gilbert, so he would otherwise be here, but we were able to work out a stip for him and his clients on the northern side, ensuring that Bethany Home Road, that dedication will occur. That was a concern of his clients as well. As a result, he also wrote a letter of support for us. And then finally, we have been talking to the city of Buckeye about this case and continue to have dialogue with the White Tank Mountain Conservancy as well as Arizona Game and Fish on mitigating their concerns as we continue to work through the site plans for this application. So with that, Madam Chair, with the updated steps, we would respectfully request your support. And of course, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. We have several speakers, Jessica O'Reilly, and then Sipend Alizada.
Hello, my name is Jessica O'Reilly. Good afternoon now again. I serve as a precinct committee woman for Siloam Precinct, Legislative District 25. I also live in Tonopah and raise my beautiful children there. I'm speaking today on behalf of constituents who may not have been made aware of this, specifically as well as the Belmont rezoning that was approved prior, which will be brought to the Board of Supervisors' attention at a later date. First, I want to say we live in this rural community, as you saw, of the support with Gamble Field, for our freedom, family, and respect to our land. My family and many others choose to live here because of it, because of its open land, the quiet environment, and the agricultural character. Rezoning the property near Indian School for the massive industrial data center would destroy the heart of our community. We are unincorporated and rural, and we have fought fiercely to remain unincorporated. We intend for it to stay that way. Approving the data center here would shatter the hard-fought status and impose heavy industrial development on a place that was never meant for it. I know she mentioned 339th Avenue at the T. If you look at that map on 339th to the T of it on Indian School, north corner of it, we already have heavy traffic on 339th right now. We have requested a traffic study multiple times for that area. It does have a large TA gas station, a lot of interstate traffic flows there. So how are we going to make sure that that doesn't impact further? We already face environmental concerns. We have a lot of development currently there residentially. We have nitrate contamination in our groundwater. Adding this facility with this enormous energy and water demands, specifically water, I would like to know the plan for that. Threatens the aquifer and sustains our homes on private wells, as you're aware. We don't have Buckeye water. We are Tonopah, not Buckeye. We have not been annexed. Just as that, approving the rezoning would also set the dangerous precedent, opening the door to more industrial projects, eroding the character, the freedom, and the way of life that brought our families here in the first place. Even among friends who are employed by data centers and those whose livelihoods depend on them, there is strong opposition to the project. If those who benefit can see the risks, it is clear that the community as a whole should be heard. The sudden growth of solar plants and industrial development has already impacted our desert, and we will not allow large corporations to take over our open space, our freedom, and the rural lifestyle that defines our community at its very core. I speak not just for myself, but for my children and future generations who deserve to grow up in a safe, healthy, and rural environment that respects those values. At the same time, you saw earlier the support of Gamble Field. I want to recognize that for the special use permit and appreciate the understanding of that and the approval. That project,
Your time has expired. Could you just take a moment and conclude?
Yeah, let me finish here. We are not alone in raising these concerns. Across the country in rural communities such as Indiana and Texas, citizens have successfully opposed or delayed data center rezonings due to water, environment, and infrastructural impacts. I would respectfully ask that this be continued to a later time so that the community can be made aware of exactly what's happening.
Thank you. Depend Alizada. How close was I?
Pretty close. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Commission. Sapan Dalazado with the Arizona Technology Council, 2800 North Central Avenue, Suite 1530 in Phoenix. I am here to speak in support of this proposal. As I said, I'm with the Arizona Technology Council. Arizona Technology Council is a trade association with over 750 members, tech companies of all different sizes. And I travel all across the state advocating for these tech companies. And what we are seeing is a lot of tech companies are relocating from California, Washington State, Oregon State. They want to come to Arizona, but they specifically want to come to the West Valley. The West Valley is changing. I was just in Buckeye a couple days ago for a rezoning. What we were seeing in the West Valley is a lot of companies setting up operations there. They want to be there because it's a perfect balance of everything. And when they come here, they bring jobs, they bring tax revenue. In the West Valley, Maricopa Community Colleges, specifically Glendale Community College and Estrella Mountain, are two of the most recognized community colleges for their tech academies and data center academies. So what's happening is that students are getting educated at those two institutions and then working in the West Valley. It's one of these things that, change can sometimes, we can be hesitant to change, but the West Valley is changing. It's becoming a tech corridor, and it's garnering the jealousy of other areas in the state that want to become like the West Valley. So with that, I urge you to please approve this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Tanya Purcell.
Good afternoon. Thank you for hearing me. My name is Tanya Pearsall. I've lived on 5 acres south of the proposed development for 27 years. I've raised horses, goats, chickens, gardens, and 5 beautiful children on that land. We Tenopians moved to the rural areas outside Phoenix Metro for a reason. We come there for a quiet rural lifestyle. This is not an industrial area. When I first met with Wendy at the community meeting, I asked what they're planning, and she flat out said data centers. We worked for weeks gathering hundreds of signatures, all in opposition to data centers. Water is life in the desert. Water, water, water. Our homes depend on the groundwater wells that tap into the aquifer beneath us. Yet this project would bring massive industrial facility that will consume millions of gallons of water every single day. It comes from the same groundwater that our families rely on. When aquifers are overdrawn, wells lose pressures, pumps struggle, and sometimes wells go dry. Imagine waking up one morning and turning on your faucet and there's no water. For your homes, for your family, for your animals, we residential landowners do not have the extra funds to dig deeper wells. Arizona water officials have already determined that groundwater in parts of Buckeye area may not meet the state's 100-year water supply requirement. That decision was serious enough that the state halted approvals for new housing developments relying on groundwater. We do not have enough groundwater for homes. How can we justify using it for industrial AI data centers? Make that make sense. The impacts don't stop with water. These facilities operate 24 hours a day. Cooling systems, massive fans, backup generators create constant industrial hum. In a quiet desert, that sound carries even a mile away. People can hear it at night when everything else is silent. That kind of nonstop noise and vibration disrupts sleeps, increases stress, and slowly erodes the peace that people moved here to find. This isn't another building, it's a massive industrial complex that would permanently change the character of this rural area. Bright lights, heavy infrastructure, and constant operations simply do not belong in a rural community. Commissioner Hernandez, you denied a wedding venue in an R43 area talking about how sound travels. I ask you to consider the sound of a data center. We're not asking for special treatment. We're asking for protection for our water, our health, our way of life. Please stand with the residents who already live here. Protect our groundwater, protect our peace. At the end of the day, this decision comes down to one thing. Will our community's water and quality of life belong to the families who call this place home, or to a corporation that will never live with the consequences? Please don't trade our water for our health and our rural community for a server farm. Please say no to this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to respond?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Change is always hard. This is an area that is going from rural, and there has been change coming to the West Valley. We certainly know that people are concerned with data centers, but I guess we would politely suggest to you that this is a very appropriate location for them, given the changes that are occurring in the area. In terms of the water issues, those are things that are very carefully negotiated through the Arizona Department of Water Resources. We have to be able to demonstrate that we do not have a negative effect on other wells that are out there in the area. So there are safeguards in place to ensure that those problems or concerns don't actually occur. I would also suggest to you, we have done quite a bit of work here with this community, and while we certainly respect the passion in the room, I hope you recognize there were a lot more people that we've been able to work with and ultimately resolve their concerns. And with that, we would respectfully request your approval.
Thank you. Commissioners, thoughts, comments, questions?
Chairman Newman? Sorry.
Anybody, commissioners online have any comments or questions? No?
Madam Chair? We did have, sorry.
Oh, I'm
We
sorry.
have one speaker online.
Oh, I apologize. I forgot to ask.
Sharice Campbell. I have unmuted her microphone.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Hi, my name is Sharice Campbell. I own 4 parcels of land in the Hacienda Ranch community. I'm not merely a resident, but I'm also a small business owner whose livelihood is threatened by this rezoning request. The success of my hatchery business depends upon the stress-free existence of my free-range birds. They exercise natural mating, nesting, and young rearing behaviors not unlike wild turkeys and jungle fowl. Natural life cycles which big industry and large-scale construction will disrupt. More broadly, this is a rural desert community surviving on finite resources, limited water availability, and a stressed electrical grid during summer, a fragile and harsh environment that would be pushed to the brink with industrial development and would likely break. This push to industrialize this area would accelerate an environmental tipping point and would cause suffering to its current residents, both human and non-human. Contrary to what the applicant says in terms of compatible land use, the only nearby operating industry is the 100 to 200 acre sand and gravel mine east of the site. It can't even be seen from my properties, whereas this data center development will be bordering right up against it. The proposed project would impede on Arizona Game and Fish Department's 10-year action plan to conserve and protect our state's most vulnerable wildlife and their habitats, threatening the Hacienda COA in particular. It would drive biological and life cycle alterations, habitat loss, and fragmentation for various wild species. It would precipitate natural resource depletion and create noise, light, electromagnetic, and air pollution that will threaten the peace, health, and overall well-being of nearby residents and our domestic animals. Lastly, it would provide a bleak future for my local business, likely forcing my hatchery to close its doors. Maricopa County's planning and zoning decision makers and Board of Supervisors should use their authority to do the right thing for the lives in greatest need, the voiceless and the disenfranchised who will be impacted the most by this. For some, it could be permanent by saying yes to industry or any major development in this area, maybe wiping an entire species off the face of this earth or pushing them to the brink. Or you may just be killing one of us, a Hacienda Ranch community resident clinging to the peace and refuge that only this rural lifestyle can provide. If that doesn't give you pause, you've been tragically desensitized by the power and greed of corporate America, money, and politics. It is important to add that Arizona is in a 32-year drought that has entered a systematic shift into aridification, which is more permanent. And a new report just came out declaring that we have entered global water bankruptcy. This is the stage that comes after the crisis stage, when not enough measures were taken to curtail the crisis, a state of permanence in which systems can no longer rebound. Approving this rezoning request would be irresponsible and frankly immoral. That's all I have to say. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. No other speakers online?
No.
Thank you. All right, commissioners.
Anybody have any comments on it? I sympathize with the neighbors that live out there. I myself live in a rural neighborhood, approaching 20 years. I've raised all my kids in my house. They were all born in my house, and unfortunately, big corporation has bought 2,500 acres around my house, and it's all getting rezoned. I think Arizona, Phoenix in particular, is growing up. We went from a very small rural community, and now we're, I think, 5th largest in the United States. And unfortunately, there's some things that come with that growth, and I think this is one of them. So I can get behind this case. So I guess with that, I'll recommend a motion for approval of Z250047.
Second. We have a motion to recommend approval from Vice Chair Fernandez and a second by Commissioner Rockwell.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Can we confirm that that was based upon the revised conditions from staff?
Oh, yes. Yes, I'm sorry. My recommendation for approval is based on the revised stipulations presented by staff in our handouts.
Yes. Okay. Second concurs.
Commissioner Finter,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hernandez,
Yes.
Commissioner Lawrence,
Yes.
Chair Milhaven,
Yes.
Commissioner Rockwell,
Yes.
Commissioner Toma.
No.
Chair, we have a motion recommending approval by a vote of 5-1.
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have any other business? It's hearing that there's no additional business. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.